Just 68 degrees, mostly cloudy with showers likely tonight and a low down to 64. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Vince Vitrano. President Joe Biden now on the ground in Michigan. The president greeted upon landing within the hour by United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain, whose striking workers are taking on the big three automakers. The president expected to join them on the picket line in Wayne, Michigan soon. ABC's Terry Moran is there.
It's day 11 of this strike, and what we hear from people about the Biden visit, and frankly also about Republican frontrunner Donald Trump. He's going to be in Michigan to make a speech to union workers and supporters. They are appreciative of support from any quarter.
As he indicated, former President Donald Trump already announced a visit to join striking workers. He is skipping tomorrow night's GOP debate. An administrative mistake means Milwaukee will not receive a federal law enforcement grant in 2024.
But mistake or no mistake, it turns out the city likely wouldn't have accepted it anyway. Mayor Cavalier Johnson tells WTMJ now,
we probably wouldn't have been able to implement it anyway because of the provisions in Act 12, which disincentivize us from applying for federal PAPS grants.
Johnson says the city is focused on hiring police officers, but the goal is to use city money to fund 3 classes of 65 recruits next year.
That's the maximum amount of classes with the maximum amount of recruits that we'll be able to train in the city of Milwaukee in a given year.
Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, WTMJ News.
Business leaders on Milwaukee's Brady Street calling for traffic calming measures to be removed. A letter obtained for the Brady Street Business Improvement District to city officials by TMJ4 News said new implementations are making things less safe for pedestrians and bikers because cars are redirected toward curbs. Brady Street BID Chairman Leroy Booth.
Cars are now redirected too close to the curb. People still speed. It's not really slowing them down. And then when we have delivery drivers and buses, it makes it even harder for people to get through the intersection. And that's creating some safety issues right there on top of that.
City officials have said they are open to further discussions about the measures. And the Culver's Curter Burger is making a comeback. Culver's announcing the Curter Burger, the limited edition cheese curd patty-topped burger that sent tons of people to the restaurant chain the last 2 years. It will again be offered Monday, October 2nd. The novelty burger created buzz when it came out in 2021 after previously being announced as an April Fool's joke earlier in the year. And then lots of people said, yes, I would actually like to have that. Time for news about your money. WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 280 points right now. It's at 33,722. S&P 500 sitting at 4291. That's off nearly 50 points. And the NASDAQ down as well, about 150 points to 13,120. It's time for your retirement and investment strategy review from a fee-only fiduciary. Go to annexwealth.com and click on the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Signing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:03.
Hey, if you love authentic Mexican food, this is for you. WTMJ's John Mercure here. I love the Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford because it's locally family-owned and it's super affordable. This is new, and it's amazing. Check this out. Today and every Tuesday, the Mind Chef presents their all-you-can-eat authentic Mexican buffet for under $10. Seriously, all you can eat, just $9.99. It's the best Tuesday dining value anywhere. Your kids and grandkids, they can safely play in that $2 million game room, quietly tucked away from the dining area while you finish up your meal. Maybe have an extra margarita. So don't turn on the stove today. The Mind Chef's all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet is under $10. Kids under 3 eat for free. I love that. Come early from 2 till 5, Monday through Thursday. Beers, cocktails, and appetizers are half price. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and in Oshkosh, just off the interstate. Both great locations. Try the all-you-can-eat Tuesday Mexican buffet today from 11 a.m. for under $10. Check out the Mine Shaft.
I'm living the life that I lived before I started having knee pain 10 years ago.
Meet Julie, a woman who makes the most of every moment in life. But over the last years, those moments were filled with agonizing pain until she discovered QC Kinetics.
Finally, the pain got so bad that people around me are like, oh, when are you getting your knee replaced? I was walking, hobbling. I listened to my last QC Kinetics commercial and I said, I'm done. I got to find out about this.
What Julie found out was QC Kinetics treats osteoarthritis with regenerative therapies. taking your body's own healing properties and concentrating them in the areas where you feel pain, helping heal and restore those damaged areas. No harmful steroids, surgery, or downtime.
It changed how I'm living. I'm able to do the things that I wasn't able to do for a long time.
Get back your life before the pain. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
After a wild win in Week 3, the Green Bay Packers are now shifting their focus to the Detroit Lions. Head coach Dan Campbell and his team coming into Lambeau Field on Thursday night, having won the last 3 matchups between the two teams. For head coach Matt LaFleur, he knows the test for his young team won't be an easy one.
I just think you see a tough, gritty group. They're an effort-based team, and you can see it all over the tape. No matter what phase you put on, they're going to give you everything they got. And they're a team that they're never out of the fight. You know you're going to battle a full 60 minutes.
The Packers will hold a practice later this afternoon with an injury report that should follow shortly after. The Milwaukee Brewers are back in action tonight and looking to clinch their second division title in 3 seasons. Brewers Cardinals live from American Family Field. Adrian Hauser on the mound as our coverage will begin right here on WTMJ beginning at 6 p.m. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Time for a look at the roads with the Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic Report. Careful out there. Must be slippery. A lot of crashes this morning. Looks like the northbound lanes of I-43 are back open following a crash that had the freeway closed with traffic being diverted off at Moreland. Again, that accident is cleaned up, but the backups remain at the inbound Rock Freeway to Calhoun Road. New crash I-43 northbound at Layton Avenue now has that left lane closed there. Don't see a crash, but we do have traffic slowing down I-41 northbound right around Hampton Avenue. Eastbound I-94, right lane is blocked at Highway 18. Not a major slowdown there, but be aware. And typical slow spots north and southbound through the construction zone I-43 north of the Marquette to about Hampton.
Traffic is sponsored by St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores.
St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores, Highway 100 in Layton Avenue, 23rd in Lincoln. Great stores, great cause, and unbelievable bargains. You're going to love it. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores.
Chance for rain sticking around through the afternoon with a high of 68 degrees. Mostly cloudy, showers likely to continue tonight with a low down to 64. Wednesday's forecast mostly cloudy with scattered showers, high of 68. We start to clear things out on Thursday. Skies will be partly cloudy, 75 degrees your high inland, bit cooler near Lake Michigan. Mostly sunny, high of 78, a little bit cooler near the lake on Friday. And then Saturday, we warm back up, mostly sunny, and a high of 81 degrees. Right now, Madison, 65, Green Bay at 66, 65 in Waukesha, and in Milwaukee, 67 degrees. I'm Vince Vitrano, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:07.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. So very glad to have you with us on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Vince Vitrano, as I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to the baseball game tonight, and hopefully the Brewers will clinch the NL Central title tonight with a win, not have to worry about that. But I am telling you, for people who are watching us on the YouTube channel, you can go to youtube.com, put in WTMJ or WTMJ.com streaming. I decided today I'm rocking the old school look. This is... There you go.
Yeah, no, very nice.
It's my favorite logo. It's the ball in glove logo, which I think is kind of old school, classic, and I think they should never have gotten away from that, candidly, because I think this is one of the best ones they've got.
They've adapted it and sort of modernized it to be their current logo as well. But one of the great things was, I think they paid attention, right? They would see so many people still wearing the old school stuff
absolutely.
Out at the ballpark. Some of those early 2000s uniforms, and you had the...
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I still feel that way when I see the baby blue uniforms, like the Robin's Egg blue uniforms. It's like, I don't think so.
What is that, the City Connect?
Or whatever,
whatever they're calling it.
Exactly. So this is, if you're watching today or you see me at the ball game tonight, this is the old school, the ball and the glove thing.
Yeah, well, good things happen with that logo.
Absolutely. One of our listeners said, is Jeff going to be sitting next to front row Amy? No. Matter of fact, this is... Actually, this is the deal. So WTMJ had a bunch of tickets left, so they were kind enough to give me 10 tickets. We had this group, so we have a group of friends going, but we're really, as I was saying, we're about as far down the right field line as you can get and still be in the stadium. So we're about as far away from Front Row Amy as you can be tonight.
No kidding.
Now, on the other hand, I have a season ticket, just the 2 tickets, and because we're going with friends, I'm in the seats way down the way, and other friends of mine are using my seat.
Gonna
so
rotate a couple out?
They are closer
Yes.
to Front Row Amy than
It's
me.
kind
but
of
no,
you.
Well, I didn't have a choice. That was what this is one of those where my wife said, okay, this is what we're going to do with these things.
Nice.
So my answer was those 2 words that so many husbands say, yes, dear. You know?
I hope we fill it tonight, and I know the Brewers would really like to have that happen. You know, having Craig Counsell on Wisconsin's Morning News once a week, we've talked with him the last couple of weeks about it, and it was so good to hear Craig say that the players realize and love when it's a live crowd and when the fans are into it. They feed off of that, and they're excited for that. So I hope we can come close to filling that place tonight on a Tuesday.
Yeah, with a rainy Tuesday, too. I don't know. Well, but the thing
but
is,
the chance to be there for the confetti and the champagne and all that when we clinch, there's something out there.
Well, absolutely. That's what I'm kind of, again, looking forward to. So I wasn't too upset when they lost those last 2 games in Florida because I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. You know, now if they lose tonight, that's a whole different story. But, you know, I'm hoping to be there and enjoy it. And I think it's really been kind of a special season. I mean, if you look at the players that the Brewers have played over the course of this year, it's not like there's a huge all-star lineup. I mean, it's just not. It's like, okay, who is this guy? And you look at how many people they're playing now that weren't on the team, even on the team, you know, when the season started. And, you know, they're going to win over 90 games, which is to me always kind of the indicator of a really good season. And it shows how good the pitching has been. But I think it's been a kind of special season. I think they've certainly performed as well, if not better, than people expected.
Reason for optimism as well because of how young we are and how well our rookies have played this year. And on top of that, speaking of rookies, you know, Matt Arnold in his general manager role in a rookie in that particular spot. I mean, virtually name me almost every lever this guy has pulled has worked out. You pulled a guy, Donaldson, off the scrap heap from New York, and this guy's hitting home runs here in Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Canha was another one.
Right.
You know, just guys who... Man,
Carlos
it's tough.
Santana,
yeah,
you know, I mean,
right?
Again, they've kind of found their way here.
It's working out, man.
It is. Just a few more games, then you get into the playoffs, and then anything can happen.
This one's on you tonight. You take care of it.
And I am also, I am rooting. I've said this on the radio before, and actually, it's interesting because on Saturday I was playing golf with my brother's girlfriend's son-in-law. Okay, follow that.
Not sure what that makes you both. But
right. Okay, who is? I mean, you want to talk about a pair to draw to? He's both a Bears fan and a Cubs fan. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I
hope he's a good golfer.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's it. Right. Nice, really,
so far, not
really nice guy. 3 wonderful kids, but yeah, Bears fan, Cubs fan. I don't think so. So I was trying to explain to him that I don't want to see the Cubs get the last wild card spot, just for a number of reasons. But also, I mean, I don't want to go to these wild card games with a bunch of Cubs fans because individually, Cubs fans might be wonderful human beings, but collectively, they're a bunch of jerks. I mean,
I have no interest in that. And just, I absolutely think we're going to win this next series. I think we're going to be the division champions. I think we're going to win that wild card, series as they call it. And I think we can go deep in the playoffs. That said, if we were to lose, I couldn't handle losing to the Cubs in that first series. Could not. Don't need that value added.
Yes.
Right.
But of course, beating the Cubs would be wonderful.
Well, there would be that. It was like the Packers in the NFC Championship down in Chicago. That was particularly delicious.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's it.
We're in agreement on all factors.
On all those different things. Hopefully they win tonight and they move on. All right. Let us get started. By the way, the stock market, again, Vince, just like he doesn't need to do different daily traffic reports about the mess that is on I-43, it's almost like recently he doesn't really even need to do like stock market updates because all you can say is the stock market is in the tank once again. I mean, relentless losing. Dow Jones, it's been an awful couple months. If you look at the numbers, the stock market really has been flat for the last 4 years. I mean, it's been flat since the start of the pandemic. And today, NASDAQ down another 1%, the Dow down almost another 1%. And if people wonder why there's not a lot of confidence in the economy, that is certainly one of the factors. Okay, here's the background on what is going on. Over the weekend, ABC News and the Washington Post came out with a poll, head-to-head matchup, Joe Biden, Donald Trump. Okay, Donald Trump, who is facing indictments in 4 different jurisdictions. The ABC News Washington Post poll has Donald Trump crushing Joe Biden 51-42. Now, I said this yesterday. I don't think I have ever in all my years that I've watched politics seen a report where it's ABC News and it's the Washington Post who've done the poll, and they come out and they say, well, this is what our poll shows, but we don't believe it. We think our own poll is an outlier. I've just never seen it. And it may very well be an outlier. But there's no question that Joe Biden is in a lot of trouble. His approval rating is mid-30s, and that's pretty consistent across polls. And people have a lot of concerns. The economy has been crummy. I don't think people believe that he can, turn this around. You've got all the crises at the border that's going on. You've got just the underlying concern. I know whenever I say this, 1 or 2 people say, oh, you're just being ageist. He's just too damn old. And everybody, I think, understands that is the case. But yet he's hanging on. But anyhow, you have Biden, who is desperate to try to turn things around, which brings the story. As we speak, the president is in Michigan, and he has, I believe, at least this is what experts are saying, for the first time in the nation's history, Joe Biden has gone on a picket line, and he is standing on a picket line right now. He's fist bumping people at a UAW picket line today, which is the 12th day of the UAW strike. No president in American history, no sitting president has ever done this. Now, you had certain very, very pro presidents, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, who certainly did things to express solidarity with labor movements, but nobody has ever gone to a picket line. Now, what's interesting about this is yesterday, when they were asking Biden's press secretary about this, that the reporters' questions were, okay, first of all, do you really think it's in the interest of the President of the United States to take sides in this particular dispute? Well, humana. Do you think, does the president support a 40% wage increase for UAW workers? Does the president support full-time 40-hour pay and a 32-hour work week? And there are all these questions. The press secretary, wasn't able to answer them. Joe Biden, with awful poll numbers, really in a huge rut and in huge electoral problems, he's now decided he's going to, and he is, saying hi to workers on this picket line. So he's injecting himself into the middle of this auto workers strike, and he's injecting it on the side of the union. Now, Ford and a number of the companies say if we gave in to what the union wants, forget about us being able to fund electric vehicles. That money would be gone. And in some cases, we may be looking at monster layoffs or bankruptcy in the next 3 or 4 years. Our number, 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. What one word, and you only get one, give me one word that you think describes Biden's decision to become the first sitting president to join a picket line. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. What one word would you use? I have a word. I'm curious what yours is. We'll discuss in just a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
We're building something in Milwaukee, and this year is going to be one hell of a monster.
It's alive! This is
This is the Hunt for Brew October on WTMJ. Presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Imagine a deck, a patio, a pergola, a fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things, and I'm telling you, they are the best. Let them make outdoor living unlimited in your yard like they did in Greg Matzek's. They are Wisconsin. They live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Fleet Fest is kicking off this Friday for 3 days only at Fleet Farm. Find in-store only deals on top brands and fall favorites, like 10% off select hunting gear, power tools, and wild bird feed. And get 20% off select workwear and fishing gear. Plus, mark your calendars for free pumpkin painting this Saturday only from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Don't miss deals and fun for everyone in the family this weekend at Fleet Fest. We have what you need for your everyday life. Fleet Farm.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Now, again, today it is an historic day. No sitting president has ever joined a picket line. And while you have very pro-labor presidents who've tried to, work as mediators and try to negotiate settlements down the line, nobody has really ever decided to take one side in a dispute because, well, the problem is, you want to see workers do okay, but maybe nobody's told the president, but the stock market has been in the tank, the economy is doing miserably, and encouraging a strike that creates disruptions to the economy, supply chains, rips into other people's everyday lives, that's typically not something that presidents end up choosing to do. But Joe Biden desperately underwater in polls, thinks that this is what he needs to do. So he made a brief appearance on a picket line. What one word would you use to describe this? 855-616-1620. Let's start with Jim in New Berlin. Jim, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, Jeff. Good afternoon. You've already used my word. I told your call screener desperation.
Okay.
He's desperate. What does he have to lose?
The idea is he's right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. He'd stand in the middle of the Rio Grande with donuts and coffee if he thought it'd get him some votes.
Thanks for the call, Jim. We have a rule in this program: no being more amusing than the host. That's it. Right. That's the next. Right. That is the next Joe Biden photo op. He's going to go from the picket line in Michigan. He's going down to Texas. You're right. He'll have coffee and donuts standing in the Rio Grande, giving them to people who are coming into this country illegally if they decide it can get him some votes. I'm not sure it's going to get him votes because, again, you've now opened up this whole can of worms. And even even the reporters at like the New York Times and the Washington Post, they're starting to see through this. And so they are asking these questions. Well, okay, all right, does this mean he thinks people should get, a 40% pay raise? And by the way, what's that going to do to his electric car agenda? Does he believe that people should be able to work 32 hours a week and get paid for 40? I mean, is that what he is saying when he shows up on the picket line and decides to wade in on one side of this? 855-616-1620. Todd in Watertown. Todd, you're on WTMJ.
Howdy, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
My word would be embarrassing, and I'll tell you why if I could, please. Whatever happened, laissez-faire, let business be, and don't be here in the United States acting like you're Che or Stalin or Castro or even Hitler. I mean, that's how they.
Well, I'm going to stop you there, Todd. I mean, this isn't a Hitler sort of thing, but yes, but this is where you have a president that is taking sides. Now, there's been no question that Joe Biden, for example, his National Labor Relations Board has been very, very, very anti-business. And there's no question he's trying to be pro-worker. But what's happened in the past is you've had presidents who've worked behind the scenes, and maybe you call in the heads of the big three automakers and you say, look, this is a problem because we've got the supply chain disruptions, and if people aren't able to get their cars fixed, it's going to impact the economy. And don't you look at what's going on in the stock market now, and look at where we've been over the last couple of years. I mean, so there are presidents that have worked quietly behind the scenes in an effort to try to, again, resolve situations. But, your word was embarrassing. 855-616-1620. Let's talk to Dan in Stoughton. Dan, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi there.
What word would you use?
So, my one word that came to mind, and you guys kind of used it already, was disruption. Was more specifically like a deliberate disruption of the economy, the disruption of, somebody's self-reliance, and more so reliance on the government, that the individual worker is going to be reliant on the government to come in and fix things versus the capitalist style economy.
Yeah. And also, disruptive to the economy by taking a side instead of, again, trying to work to broker some sort of settlement behind the scenes. Now you've decided the President of the United States is going to align with these different labor unions, and nobody, without having to explain, how the big three auto companies are going to pay for things if they go in with all these demands. And to the extent that Biden showing up emboldens the UAW to expand its now 13-day strike, what Biden has done is sabotage the economy even more than he sabotaged the economy over the last 3 years.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, thanks for calling. It is just mind-boggling to me, but that's a hyphenated word. That's not the word that I'm going to use. Pauline in Milwaukee. Pauline, you're on WTMJ.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Pauline.
Or good afternoon, sorry.
Yeah, what word would you use?
My one word is foolish.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, I think people already hit on most of this, is that it'll really disrupt the manufacturers and their being able to pay for the cars and paying workers in the future and getting profits.
Yeah, which is why historically, if presidents have wanted to get involved in this, you've made the choice to do it behind the scenes. Maybe you call in everybody, you bring your head of the National Labor Relations Board in together, and you sit in a room and you try to say, look, we need to get this done in the interest of the country, and, a 40% raise is crazy. Full-time pay for 32 hours a week is crazy. But then you say to the automakers, look, here's the issue. They say that their pay has lagged behind. You have to figure out something to do. But you work quietly to try to build a consensus, not saying, hey, workers of America unite, because all you do is make it more difficult, I think, to reach a settlement.
And I feel that aligning with just one group versus the other is really a foolish act to do because you're alienating a large population of your constituents or former constituents, perhaps.
Pauline, thanks for the call. I couldn't agree more. All right, when we come back, we'll take a couple more calls. We're just absolutely swamped with texts on this, and I will give you my one word to describe Joe Biden today making the decision to become the first sitting U.S. president ever to take to the picket lines. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
So I'm going to bring over to you a pimento cheese sandwich.
If you missed Wisconsin's afternoon news, you missed this.
It's rewarding and they like it, but they miss being in the classroom. They miss being on the front line and miss being with the kids.
One of the things that my kids really loved about the Market Hall was the selfie museum that the students at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design helped create.
Rhonda McDaniel, she is the chair of the RNC.
Wisconsin's afternoon news, the podcast, presented by Geist Garage Doors.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Hi, it's Samantha with Heiser. The seasons are changing, and Heiser has you covered through every aspect of your vehicle's needs. Save money on new and used vehicles and get the exclusive Safe and Sound program, which includes roadside assistance for life and loyalty discounts. We have certified techs for service and 2 body shops to help with any seasonal damage. So relax and be confident knowing we have you covered. At Heiser, today's your day.
See dealer for complete details.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Greg Scalzo for Smart Spaces. How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
Really looking at the entire space holistically. The environment, the walls, ceilings, lighting, flooring, furniture, technology, along with acoustics.
To conceptualize how the end users are going to interact with the room, from the furniture all the way down to the AV, having that work seamlessly within the environment and often hiding within the furniture.
Let Smart Spaces transform your business today. Visit smartspaceswi.com.
Is your paycheck not going as far as it used to? You'll make good money at John Deere Horicon Works. Full-time factory workers at John Deere Horicon Works start at $23 to $25 per hour plus health insurance with no premiums and annual wage increases. Potential bonuses, $1,000 sign-on bonuses, and more at John Deere Horicon Works. So if you're tired of that small paycheck, move up to the big time at John Deere Horicon. Apply now at deere.com/Horicon. That's deere.com/Horicon.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Here's the way the Chicago Tribune describes this. And they're quoting a professor and an expert on U.S. labor history from University of Rhode Island. This is absolutely unprecedented. No president has ever walked a picket line before. Presidents historically avoid direct participation in strikes. They typically see themselves more as mediators. They do not see it as their place to directly intervene in a strike or in a labor action, which is historically why they've done it. So Joe Biden, he decides to go against precedent. He decides to show up for a brief appearance on a picket line. What's my one word? Pathetic. This is a new low. It is absolutely pathetic that the leader of the free world decides to intervene in this fashion. And again, you could say boneheaded on top of this, because he's now, like I was saying earlier, he's opening himself up to all these questions. Okay, you've come down on the side of the UAW because you're pandering for votes. You know, if you have any chance of being reelected, you've got to have this union support. So you're trying to show this, but then you open yourself up to questions. All right, what about, do you think they should get the 40% raise? And if so, how is that going to be paid for? You think that they should be paid for 5 days work and only working 4? Is that your new standard? Are you so desperate and so pathetic to try to, again, get union votes to get yourself reelected that you are willing to further tank the economy? Because, That's essentially what you're going to do to productivity. If now the new standard is going to be people don't have to work 40 hours anymore, you get full-time pay for 32. Let's see. We've been swamped, Jeff. If the demands are met, the price of American automobiles will increase even more. That no one will be able to afford them. This would be good news for foreign automakers. No, there's no question about that. This is the ultimate beneficiaries of this strike are going to be Toyota and Honda and Nissan and Tesla. I mean, that's who's going to make this. All right. Let's see. Desperate is the word. Grandstanding, well, I don't have any issue with that. Bonehead, yeah, that word kind of came up. Let's say short-sighted, yeah, we'll put a hyphen in there. That would end up working in that regard. Clueless, unaware. Let's see. It's a strike against him. Well, that's multiple words. Let's see. Unethical. Well, I don't know if it's a matter of ethics. It's just a choice that no president has ever made before in American history. Jeff, I think it's confused. Well, there's that. Jeff, I think it's unbelievable. All right, here's the fresh thing. One word, refreshing. One word, refreshing. And I'm pretty sure Reagan took side in a labor dispute when he fired all the air traffic controllers. So it's not historic after all. No. That's completely different. This was government workers, again, violating the law by going out on strike. This is a dispute in a private matter. It's the private sector. And no president has ever walked the picket lines before. Jeff, desperate. I believe for a long time that Biden doesn't make a lot of decisions. I heard Trump is supposedly getting involved in the strike somehow, too. Yeah, Trump, in an effort to upstage the Republican debate that's going to be held in California at the Reagan Library tomorrow night, Trump is going to be giving a speech in Michigan in front of unions. Now, Trump, of course, is former president. He's not the sitting president, but yeah, it's Trump. Let's see, Jeff, my word would be greedy. Another person uses the word pandering. Another person uses the word thoughtless. Votes. Votes is one. I mean, that's, of course, what this is all about. Foolish as well, and the list goes on and on. Desperate. I'm going to go with the word, I'm going to go again with the word pathetic. This is just one of these efforts to try to pander for votes. And candidly, I'm not sure it's necessarily even going to work. But if it prolongs the strike, it is a bad thing. If it makes a settlement harder, it is a bad thing. If it creates an even greater disruption to the economy, it is a dreadful thing, as if the Biden economy doesn't have enough problems. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
If you're like me, you always like to add a little something new to the wardrobe. But when money's tight, it makes it harder. And that's why you shop at St. Vincent de Paul for a terrific selection of women's clothing at thrift store prices. Brand names, too, with a selection that's always up to date and looking great. You're going to find something cute at the right price, and you're going to love it. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're going to love it. St. Vincent de Paul.
You're just going to have to live with it. That's what I told myself. And if you can believe it, that's what the doctors told me.
Since Andy was a boy, he had health issues, which later we would find were primarily due to his trouble breathing. So for 36 years, Andy lived with about 85% blockage in his nose. He had to breathe through his mouth, because when he tried to breathe through his nose, it felt like he was being suffocated. It affected his sleep, his work life, and his ability to play sports. And he wasn't going to let it ruin his life anymore. So he came to Advent. As bad as it was, his problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty and turbinate reduction. Procedures you won't find offered by big box healthcare. This is Dr. Madan Kandula. It's definitely possible that your nasal breathing problems have a simple solution too. You can hear Andy's story in his own words at adventknowsandy.com and begin on your path to breathing well and living better.
Results may vary.
Do you know how to find the best CD rates? Hi, I'm Dr. Aaron Armstrong with Steinbrenner Financial and your Dave Ramsey SmartVestor Pro. Tune into the Dave Ramsey program weeknights at 9 o'clock or visit steinbrennergroup.com to learn more.
As daylight hours decrease, crashes involving people driving and people biking or walking increase. Turn your lights on, slow down, and look around to help reduce nighttime crashes. Let's make sure everyone, no matter how they travel, gets home safe. Learn more at wisconsinbikefed.org.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Well, it's going to be curious to see how all this plays out. This was clearly a political stunt, which was designed to try to shore up support. My guess is, just like so many decisions that Joe Biden has made, it's not going to work. But again, time will tell. But coming down on the side of one side in a private labor dispute, it is unprecedented for people who think it's awesome. That's it. Now, the question I'm getting is, well, what about Trump doing this? Look, I don't explain Donald Trump. I'm not a Trump guy. And I mean, to me, Trump is, I don't know if he's coming down. It'll be interesting to see. He's not walking a picket line. I don't know what position Trump is going to ultimately take. But and we'll have to wait till the speech to see it. But Trump is just, again, trying to if you'd use one word for Donald Trump, it would be opportunist. And that's what he's doing. He's going to Michigan because he wants to upstage the 7 Republicans who are going to be on the debate stage tomorrow night. So my word, even without knowing what Trump's speech is going to be, would be opportunist for him. All right, let us switch gears. I want to revisit something we discussed in a segment last week. What happens is that a lot of the media is derivative. There'll be, and I see this because I read lots of stuff online, whether it's TV station, websites or newspaper websites or things like that. And what typically happens is you'll see one newspaper ends up coming up with a concept and they'll write a story. And then interestingly, a week later, you see variations of that premise that appear in different stories. The Wall Street Journal last week had a piece, and the essence of it was workers don't want to hear their coworkers complaining about having to start paying their student loans. I mean, that was the nature of the topic. And I think we did one segment on it. But the basic principle was, people just don't want to hear this, for a variety of reasons. People who didn't go to, who went to a second choice school because it was cheaper, don't want to hear about somebody who made a decision to go to a more expensive school and complaining about their student loans that they haven't had to make payments on for a number of months. People who made sacrifice and have paid back their student loans, they don't want to hear about somebody complaining about this. So, we discussed that, and that was the premise. So in the local newspaper today, again, I think picking up on this story that was out there in the Wall Street Journal a week ago, Wisconsin student loan payments. Wisconsin student loans. Readers share how payments are impacting them. And so what had happened is the local newspaper, and USA Today asked readers about their upcoming student loan payments, because student loans are finally, after 3 or 4 years, now starting to resume. And they said, we asked them to share how their student loan payments will impact their life and if they'll need a second or third job to pay bills. Nothing like kind of loaded questions. More than a dozen readers responded. Interestingly, my thing would be only a dozen readers responded, but that's okay. This is it. Most of the respondents live in the Milwaukee suburbs. Here's what they said. So that they say, all right, we want some input as to how this is going to impact on you. They get a handful of responses, but it turns into a story. Headline: several readers say they won't be able to save for emergencies or retirement. Quote, student loans stop me from continuing my education and doing things that positively impact me. It's also been terrible for my mental health, says one person. One reader says she has fallen behind on retirement savings thanks to substantial monthly loan payments. Others said they'll have to work several jobs or move in with their family to afford payments. One reader commentator said they worked 2 jobs for several years just to make ends meet. quote, I worked full-time and had to move back in with my parents because I couldn't afford rent and my student loan payments as well as my other monthly dues. So they couldn't afford rent because of the student loan payments. Somebody else says, I don't regret going to college, but I regret how naive I was about paying for school. One reader said that they would have tried trade school or went for an associate's degree, but their mother, quote, forced them to go to a 4-year college program immediately after high school and take out loans to pay for it. Okay, it's mom's fault. Mom made me go to college and mom made me take out the loan. So this is the premise. You get about a dozen people that call in, and the complaints are everything from my mental health is terrible. It's stopping me from doing things that positively impact me. I don't know what that means. No trip to Hawaii in the future. One reader, fallen behind on retirement savings. Somebody else says, well, I can't pay rent and my student loans, so I'm thinking about having to move back in with mom and dad. 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. Okay. Are you crying these people a river? Do you feel sorry about this? My God, the mom made me take out that student loan and go to the 4-year university. Mom did it. I can't save as much for my retirement because I have to pay off this particular loan. I can't do things that positively impact me. It's terrible for my mental health. All right. You feeling any sympathy for these people who took out student loans, who've had a moratorium on paying the student loans for several years now? Interest has not been accumulating, so essentially they've gotten a free ride for the last 3 or 4 years, and now it's coming again time to pay the piper, and they're complaining about it. Are you feeling bad for them? Mom made me take out that loan. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Pain relief and gimmicks. The two seem to go hand in hand. And it really is a shame, because when you're living with chronic pain, you're vulnerable. And that's why so many people get tricked into buying unproven treatments. At Rejuvenex, we understand how you suffer, how you wait to get out of bed because you know the pain is coming. Chronic pain from osteoarthritis is a terrible thing. And that's why we use our proprietary, powerful, FDA-approved treatments to precisely target your affected areas, to provide cushion and lubrication that helps deliver long-lasting pain relief in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics. We're in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid. We can alleviate your pain, and that'll rejuvenate your life. It's pain relief, really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Artwork, especially original artwork, can be pricey. But when you take it in on consignment from nice people like you, who are just ready to change the look of their home, you can price it right. And you'll find a lot of it at Design Exchange. Beautiful frame pieces by a number of notable artists. And new ones pop in all the time. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Now these tend to fly off the shelves. But don't worry, because our connection supplies us with a lot of them. Vintage ceiling tiles from once great old buildings in New York City that make for ultra-unique artwork. These items are definitely hard to find from anywhere else around here. So come take a look, and you'll probably find a treasure. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. In Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Traffic is sponsored by Cedarburg PAC Inc., shining brightly for 25 years. Get your tickets now for Barbaro, featuring Cedarburg native Kyle Shellstad, performing this Friday at the Cedarburg Performing Arts Center, shining brightly for 25 years. Go to cedarburgpac.com. AcunetBank.com.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Acunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Acunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Acunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. See, I just, this is another one of these examples where I think the Biden administration just badly misreads general public sentiment with this idea that we are going to, I don't know, give people excuses for not paying back loans. And, of course, this is the latest thing. Well, now you have to start paying back your student loans or resume paying them back, and people are supposed to feel sorry about this. I mean, gee, it's been terrible for my mental health. Gee, I don't know. You know, we all have to make mortgage payments. You have to pay off your credit card debt, or you have to make your car payments, or, you know, every month you get that bill from the cable company or from the phone company or whatever. Oh, this is terribly mentally stressful. Well, this is just another one of the debts. Here's one of our texters, Jeff. No sympathy for me. Last month, we paid my husband's student loan off, 18 years. And yes, we continue to pay these last few years that we didn't have to. My daughter starts college in the fall of 2024. We will help, but she will also pay her loans. You know, I've used this example before. You know, one of my teammates, it's my producer, Samantha, she has student loans. She continued to make payments during the pause. And as a result of that, you know, she was able to lower the principal on her loan. And I'm sure, I have no doubt that for everybody who continued to make these payments, you know, some people might view you as chumps. Oh, hey, why did you make these payments? Well, what it was, you know, you could have taken this money and you could have gone out, or you could have taken this money and bought a nicer car, or you could have taken this money and gone on a trip or whatever, but instead you sent it to help pay down your student loans. Well, no, it's because this is the fiscally and financially responsible thing to do. Paul in Cary. Paul, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Jeff. And I have to say, I am really tired of hearing the woe is me. How many generations before us had to make a decision whether they were going to college or not, and then live up to their honor and responsibilities of paying back those loans? My father did not go to college, and he would not allow his parents to take out a second mortgage. I, on the other hand, from the first day of undergrad, started accumulating that debt. I went through undergrad, grad school, and professional school. It took me 25 years to pay off my loans. I graduated at the exit interview, was told I had the second highest debt in my class. Mm-hmm. What's hurtful is the first 4 years knowing that every monthly payment went towards interest, not even the principal. So, Jeff, I'm so tired of hearing, woe is me. Yep. And the politicians trying to buy votes. By insulting everybody else.
Right. No, thanks for the call. Look, I mean, and somebody texted me, you obviously have no idea what it's like to strike. Okay, here's the deal. My late wife, we met in law school. She got through undergrad and she got through law school on student loans. So when she came out, when we got out of law school, you know, she had a lot of debt. It was our debt. And yes, and we paid off those loans. And yes, it meant that, gee, okay, maybe we can't afford to have furniture in the living room for a couple years because we've got to make these payments. But that's the obligation that you have. And, you know, nobody, I mean, I roll my eyes when I see this thing in the newspaper where the guy's saying, well, you know, my mom forced me into taking this student loan and making me go to a 4-year college. Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet that that's the case. Oh, here, twist my arm. You know, I'm going off to the kegger and things like that. Gee, Mom, I really don't want to go off to this school. Here, let's go to the football games, etc. And Mom, it's all your fault because, you know, this happened. Jeff, my niece continued paying and was able to pay pay off her student loans during COVID. I'm very proud of her. She knew that it was her responsibility. I think that there's a lot of this out there. Jeff, no mention of what jobs these people have, no mention of what degree, if any, they got, no mention about what their payment history is. I'm betting each and every one has been spending money on frivolous things. I have zero sympathy. That would be the interesting follow-up. Did you ask, okay, you haven't had to make student loan payments since whenever they first put that into effect. Was it 2020? Okay, so what have you done? First of all, the question would be, to me, how did COVID impact you? Did you lose your job? Did you never get your job back? Or have you continued to work all during COVID? Okay, well, so if the pandemic didn't affect you, what reason did you really have for not making those student loan payments? And then, all right, what did you do? How have you spent the money that you have when that you didn't use that was supposed to go to the student loan payments? What did you spend that on? Oh, you bought a new car. Oh, you went on a trip. Oh, okay, all right. Those are decisions that you make. And I get it that you're able to make that decision because the government ended up in this situation where we said, we're not going to means test. We're just going to say across the board that regardless of what your income situation is, regardless of what your personal situation is, we're not going to make you make payments, and we're going to give you that break. But it would be interesting to know, okay, what has the last 3 or 4 years looked like, and how have you spent that money that you were supposed to be spending? Now, I am not completely unsympathetic. And candidly, I think early on in the pandemic, we missed an opportunity. Back before, interest rates used to be really, really low. Now you've got, and we're going to talk about this in, I think, the 2 o'clock hour of the program. Now you've got interest rates that are really, really high. Maybe not historically high, but high in comparison to where they have been for the last number of years. I think we had an opportunity a couple of years ago, instead of talking about loan forgiveness and we're going to write off all this debt, stuff that was clearly illegal. What they could have done is started exploring the idea of refinancing some of these loans so people could have gotten in at more market rate interest loans. I still think there's the potential to do that, but that market rate interest is going to be substantially higher now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. But this idea that, it's been terrible for my mental health because I have to pay my debt. Really, suck it up, Buttercup. Back with more in just a couple minutes. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ. Sorry, Fred Bird. It was all over for you before it started.
And I could have very easily just pulled out the standings.
Let's just get this over with. The Cardinals are in Milwaukee with coverage starting at 6:05. This series is sponsored by MATC. The hunt for Brew October is presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank on 620 WTMJ.
Hi, this is John Neal, CPA, founder of Right Choice Tax Resolution and international best-selling author on how to have less stress with the IRS. The IRS is the most ruthless collection agency in the world. They just announced they will be ramping up collection activities now that the COVID crisis is over. They can seize your bank accounts, garnish your wages, and make your life miserable. My book tells you what you can do so you don't have to worry about them ever again. Don't bury your head in the sand and hope the problem will go away. It will only get worse unless you make the right choice and step up to get them off your back. We can help. We help reduce or eliminate penalties, negotiate payment plans, and represent you in tax audits. Make the right choice and go to rightchoicetax.us to book a call or meeting right now. We know you want to take the first step in getting the IRS off your back so you can live again. That's rightchoicetax.us.
At Semper Fi, we work hard not to tarnish our reputation. And that's what will make your decision to work with us one you won't regret. You can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
Keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
World-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You ever ask yourself the question, what do I want to be known for? Do you know the answer? Are you in the right place to realize those aspirations? If not, LAK's Career Fit program can get you there. They'll work with you to create a roadmap to get you on a trajectory toward career fulfillment and renewed meaning in life, so you can truly discover what you were meant to do. Find out more about Career Fit. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group, discover your human advantage.
I'd been living with a snoring problem nearly my entire life. In fact, I can remember my mother teasing me, saying that I'd snore so loudly that the walls of our house would cave in with each breath.
Fast forward only recently, when Jessica's snoring forced her husband out of their bed and into another room. It's a pretty common situation. We call it a sleep divorce, and that's not good. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent. After Jessica had a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, we found that her snoring problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty. It's a 20-minute procedure, and it works. You won't find it offered by big box healthcare, but you will find it at Advent, where we offer every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution available. You can hear more of Jessica's story at adventknowsjessica.com and take your first step towards breathing well so you can live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
For WTMJ contest rules, visit WTMJ.com/contests.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Sorry, Fred Bird. It was all over for you before it started.
Let's just get this over with. The Cardinals are in Milwaukee with coverage starting at 6:05. This series is sponsored by MATC. The Hunt for Brew October is presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank, on News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 1 o'clock, it's 65 degrees and wet. Rain continues throughout the afternoon. Mostly cloudy tonight. Showers likely with a low of 64. From the WTMJ Breaking Newsroom, I'm Greg Matzik. President Joe Biden on the ground today in Michigan, greeting upon landing within the hour by United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain, whose striking workers are taking on the big three automakers. The president expected to join them on the picket line in Wayne, Michigan. ABC's Terry Moran is there.
It's day 11 of this strike, and what we hear from people about the Biden visit, and frankly also about Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, he's going to be in Michigan to make a speech to union workers and supporters. They are appreciative of support from any quarter.
Former President Donald Trump already announced a visit to join striking workers. He is skipping tomorrow night's GOP debate. An administrative mistake means Milwaukee will not be receiving a federal law enforcement grant in 2024.
But mistake or no mistake, it turns out the city likely wouldn't have accepted it anyway. Mayor Cavalier Johnson tells WTMJ now,
we probably wouldn't have been able to implement it anyway because of the provisions in Act 12, which disincentivize us from applying for federal PASS grants.
Johnson says the city is focused on hiring police officers, but the goal is to use city money to fund 3 classes of 65 recruits next year.
That's the maximum amount of classes with the maximum amount of recruits that we'll be able to train in the city of Milwaukee in a given year.
Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, WTMJ News.
Well, the Milwaukee Common Council's Steering and Rules Committee passing an ordinance that will allow the Department of Neighborhood Services to oversee the Embattled Housing Authority of the city of Milwaukee. One resident tells TMJ4 News she's been dealing with a Hackham property.
I don't even like coming home. It ain't safe there. Elevators don't work. People fights up in there, take people eyeballs out, shoot up in there. People sleep in the lobby, on the stairway, everywhere.
Partners at TMJ4 have learned thousands of complaints and maintenance requests from Hackham residents have gone unanswered, with reports of rats, bed bugs, and damaged floors at Hackham properties. Well, the Brewers' magic number sits at 1 to clinch the division. 1 win or a Cubs loss locks it up for the Crew.
The Brewers will have a chance to clinch at home tonight, in front of the fans and, of course, in front of Mr. Baseball. Bob Euchre.
Now Uke gets to call it. You're excited about that, and it makes you happy for sure.
Manager Craig Counsell tells Wisconsin's Morning News the best part is knowing that Uke's going to be there all through October.
We've all had that thought on our mind, Bob, calling World Series games and having that shot to do that.
And the Brewers are going to the postseason again.
Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
They're the Central Division champions.
And coverage of the Brewers and Cardinals gets underway tonight at 6:05. First pitch at about 6:40. Time for news about your money and the markets today. Kind of like the weather, down, not good. The Dow currently down 374 points at 33,632.31. S&P 500 is down 57 at 42,8044. The Nasdaq also down today, 184 points currently at 13,087.20. News sponsored by Annex Wealth Management. Annex Wealth Management's Tax Smart Planning Review. Contact them for a free review and assessment. They'll provide strategies you can use. Go to annexwealth.com/taxsmart. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time is 1:04.
It's WTMJ's Steve Scafidi for Panoramic CBD. Whether you're looking to reduce anxiety, pain, depression, or just need to relax, Panoramic CBD has the best products for everyone's needs. They farm, process, test, and package their own CBD products, hence the slogan from soil to oil. By overseeing every stage of the process, Panoramic CBD eliminates the middleman, ensuring unmatched quality throughout. To offer you the best CBD products at the best prices for you and your pets. Shop local. Shop Wisconsin. From soil to oil, PanoramicCBD.com.
You can give them the same old, or you can surprise them with something unique from St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Store at a bargain. Almost new, but really cool. The thing about thrift store gift shopping is that you never know what you'll find, but when you find it, you'll know it's right. That's what makes it fun. And if you just can't choose, gift cards are always available at St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
This Brewers Top Moment is presented by Network Health.
April 16th, 2023, while leading San Diego by just one run, Milwaukee called on closer Devin Williams to come on in the bottom of the ninth. With 2 outs and facing off with his former teammate Trent Grisham, Williams was looking to help secure a road victory for the Brewers.
Calm and collected, the pitch. And it's a called third strike. Devin Williams.
This Brewers Top Moment is presented by Network Health.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. If you are looking for a Medicare plan with freedom and flexibility, choose a Network Health Medicare Advantage plan. Plans start as low as $0 a month with $0 doctor visits and $0 prescription drugs, plus vision, hearing, and dental benefits. For 40 years, Network Health has been a trusted expert in making health insurance affordable and understandable. Don't wait. Call 833-7-NETWORK today.
After a wild win in Week 3, the Green Bay Packers are now shifting their focus to the Detroit Lions. Head coach Dan Campbell and his team coming into Lambeau Field on Thursday night, having won the last 3 matchups between the two teams. For head coach Matt LaFleur, he knows the test for his young team won't be an easy one.
I just think you see a tough, gritty group. They're an effort-based team, and you can see it all over the tape. No matter what phase you put on, they're going to give you everything they got. And they're a team that they're never out of the fight. You know you're going to battle a full 60 minutes.
The Packers will hold a practice later this afternoon with an injury report that should follow shortly after. The Milwaukee Brewers are back in action tonight and looking to clinch their second division title in 3 seasons. Brewers Cardinals live from American Family Field. Adrian Hauser on the mound as our coverage will begin right here on WTMJ beginning at 6 p.m. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Time for a look at your roads with a Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic update. Standard travel times on much of the system. The one notable exception, northbound 41, the Zoo interchange to Highway Q. That's going to run you 10 extra minutes, about 24 right now due to a lane closure. Much of the accidents and issues from earlier this morning, some attributed to wet pavement, seemingly under control with standard travel times through the bulk of the system.
Traffic is brought to you by Crest Cadillac. Find them at crestcadillac.com. Crest Cadillac of Brookfield, located on Capitol Drive, just west of Interstate 41. Discover Crest Cadillac at crestcadillac.com.
Well, rain continues to move from south to north and much of the eastern side of the state of Wisconsin. Mostly cloudy the rest of the afternoon and evening with showers likely, a low of 64. Cloudy with scattered showers tomorrow and a high of 68. Start to get a bit of a warm-up on Thursday. The rain goes away with a high of 75. 78, mostly sunny on Friday. 66 degrees in Madison, 68 in Green Bay. It's also 63 in Waukesha and 65 in downtown Milwaukee. Siding Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 1:08. I'm Greg Matzik.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
So, very glad to have you with us. Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Yeah, another bad day. It's been a relentlessly bad couple months with the stock market for a variety of reasons. Dow Jones down another 1%, the NASDAQ down almost 1.5%. And it seems like this is just a common story day after day after day after day. All right. Late last week, the U.S. Attorney's Office announced that U.S. Senator Bob Menendez, Democrat from New Jersey, had been indicted on a variety of charges, but essentially the allegations are that he was taking bribes in connection with essentially the government of Egypt. That's what was going on here. He and his wife were taking bribes. They got married a few years back, and she had connections, and all of a sudden the cash started coming in. This is not the first time he has been indicted on public corruption charges. He was indicted a few years ago. He was tried, and the trial ended in a hung jury, and for whatever reason, the U.S. Attorney's Office made the decision that they weren't going to try him. This now appears to have emboldened him. The allegations are that they search his place, and they find almost $500,000 in cash squirreled away in different places throughout the house, in coat pockets, in lining of a jacket he has with the Senate emblem on it. So almost $500,000 in cash. And I will tell you from another life, having chased drug dealers, $500,000 in cash takes up a lot of space. I mean, it's not there. There's a lot of volume to $500,000. It's not just like, here, this is a couple bills. So he had this squirreled all throughout his apartment. On top of that, they find about $180,000 worth of gold bars. And the gold bars, whether it's fingerprints or DNA or whatever, trace back to the people that allegedly bribed him. So the U.S. Attorney's Office just didn't say, hey, we found these gold bars. They went that extra step and said, okay, well, this is clearly where these gold bars came from. Now, Menendez holds a press conference yesterday, and he plays the Hispanic card. He says, this is just outrageous, and they're going after me because I'm a first generation Cuban, and if I wasn't Hispanic, they wouldn't be doing this. And his argument is the reason I have all this cash squirreled away in all these places is because, well, when my family came over from Cuba, you had Castro who had taken over the country, and we lost all this stuff. So I've been pulling this out of my bank account and storing it over the years. Well, I think the problem with that is going to be the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to be able to get the guy's bank records for years and years, and you're not going to be able to find $500,000 in withdrawals. On top of that, there's still been no explanation for those gold bars. Look, and the bottom line here is, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a duck. Menendez is a crook. He's been a crook for a number of years. He beat the system once, and that simply emboldened him. But we do have, at least in a court of law, we have, again, it's innocent until proven guilty. But that's in a court of law that decides whether or not you go to prison. Menendez says, no, this is all it's a misunderstanding, and he is sure that he will be cleared when all this comes out. And he's intending, at least at this point in time, I believe, to run for re-election next November, or November of 2024. In many respects, and he says no intention of resigning. This is, as long as we want to cross party lines, this is in some respects very reminiscent of the embattled first-term Congressman George Santos, out of New York, who's been charged with fraud and money laundering and theft of public funds and false statements, who remains an absolute embarrassment that George Santos is still in Congress. But he's refusing to step down as well. And so, he's in a situation where he's hanging on until his trial, which probably, I don't know if it'll ultimately occur before his term ends or not. But he's decided, he's been indicted. He's not going anywhere. Menendez says he's not going to go anywhere. A number of Democrats, including, and interestingly enough, many of whom are up for re-election in 2024, including Tammy Baldwin, are now coming out and saying he should resign. This is what Tammy Baldwin says. The indictment spells out deeply troubling allegations against Senator Menendez that breach the American people's trust and compromise his ability to effectively represent his constituents. While Senator Menendez enjoys the presumption of innocence until proven guilty and will have his day in court to defend himself, I believe it's best for his constituents, the American people, and our national security for the senator to step down. Baldwin joined a small but growing list of Senate Democrats who have called for Menendez to step down from his post. U.S. Senators John Fetterman, he's the guy that wears the hoodie and the shorts, Peter Welch of Vermont, and Sherrod Brown of Ohio were among the first Democrats to call for his resignation. Baldwin and U.S. Senator John Tester of Montana joined them early Tuesday, and a number of other Democrats, including Menendez's fellow New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, piled on later in the morning. Like Brown and Tester, Baldwin is up for re-election in 2024. Again, Menendez indicted in New York last week on charges alleging he covertly aided the government of Egypt and business associates in exchange for gold bars and lumps of cash. Gold bars, $48,000 of cash stuffed into jackets bearing his name during a search of his home. He says he's not going anywhere. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. I consider it to be an absolute embarrassment that George Santos has refused to resign from Congress. And even though he's sort of been ostracized in Congress, given the nature of the charges, he has no business being there, at least in my opinion, while he, again, tries to defend himself. Similarly, the fact that Bob Menendez, who, by the way, has been a crook for the longest time, I think it's one of the worst kept secrets in the Senate, that this guy has been just as corrupt as possible. But now that you see these charges against him, and again, innocent until proven guilty, but that applies to whether or not you're going to take somebody's liberty away. That doesn't apply to, in the nature of these charges, whether somebody should continue to serve in the United States Senate. All right, should Menendez resign? Is Tammy Baldwin right? You can mark the tape on this because you don't hear me say it very often, but in this case, Tammy Baldwin and all these other Democrats I cited nails it on the head. There's no way this guy should continue to serve in the United States Senate. It is an absolute embarrassment. And Biden should call for him to resign. Senate leadership should pressure him to resign. It's an embarrassment that he's there. And before, again, you say this, George Santos, same sort of thing. He should have been embarrassed into resigning a long time ago. 855-616-1620. Does Menendez need to go? We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Hey, Wisconsin, winter is right around the corner. Get your house ready before the cold hits. WTMJ's Jeff Wagner here for Wagner's Home Improvement Showcase, brought to you by senior real estate specialists Bruce and Jean Nemovitz. Hair Construction, Current Electric, Outdoor Living Unlimited, and Kohler Services. Join us every week to discuss ways to weatherproof your home here on News Radio 620 WTMJ. If you can't catch us live, visit Wagner's Home Improvement Showcase under Features on WTMJ.com.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With shorter days in the forecast, brighten up now with top quality lighting and ceiling fans at unbeatable prices. At our award-winning showroom, you'll see our new display of Visual Comfort brand lighting along with their newest LED lights and ceiling fans. We carry every major brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Where are we putting that money, and why are we putting it there? At Financial Strategies, you'll get answers to those questions to understand our approach. And the answers are going to be based on what we've learned about you. We're very engaged with our clients so that what we do for them fits their particular needs. But there are other things that we do that are equally important to the investment management portion of our services. I can't express how important it is to control the things you can control. At the end of the day, most investment managers will end up yielding similar overall returns. But knowing how to manage them wisely to avoid your nest egg being eaten away by the tax man, all legally of course, well, that's what I truly believe sets us apart. This is Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., and we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Now, I want to be real clear here. I am not a defender of George Santos, the crooked Republican congressman from New York. The indictment against Santos, though, it doesn't allege bribery. It alleges that he was taking campaign contributions and he was pocketing them and using them for himself. And it's clearly, when he's convicted, it's going to be felony conduct and he should go to jail. So I'm not it's not a question of, at least he's not taking bribes. This is Menendez, who's been a crook for the longest time, clearly in the pocket of a foreign government, taking all this money and then being brazen about it. I mean, and I got to tell you, as I said the other day, it's not, I mean, he doesn't need a good lawyer. If his defense is, I have $500,000 in cash squirreled away in all these different places, he needs a really, really dumb jury. But I guess I look at this and say it's self-evident, whether it's Santos or certainly Menendez, these charges are significant enough in and of themselves that he shouldn't continue to be in office. And one of the reasons why you have some Democrats who are now starting to pressure him to resign is, first of all, he's up for re-election in November of 2024. Do you want this? And, you know, one of the things that clearly is going to be an issue for Democrats is, hey, Trump's under charges and look, he's running. All right, the last thing you want is a guy like Menendez on the other side who's, running for re-election with these type of charges over his head. 855-616-1620. Lucy on the west side. Lucy, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi. As I think you know, I'm a pretty deep-dyed Democrat, and I think he should resign. First of all, he could cost us the Senate. Secondly, you keep talking about he's a crook, but let's go into that a little bit. He skated on his charges years ago. He comes out and says, well, I was vindicated. They tried this once and it didn't work. He was not vindicated. He got a hung jury.
Yep.
That's very different than being vindicated. He didn't get a not guilty. And
well, Lucy, I'll tell you, my understanding is that jury was hung. My understanding is that jury it was hung 11-1 in favor of conviction. That's at least what I understand. And for whatever reasons, they made the decision to not try him again. And again, I don't know what went into that, but you're exactly right. It's not like, hey, they apologized and gave me my stuff back. He got the break of a lifetime by beating the case, and it doesn't appear that he learned anything.
That's what I think. And again, as a Democrat, I'm really concerned that he could cost us the Senate.
Yeah, thanks for the call, because even in New Jersey, if he runs while this is hanging over his head. Now, even in New Jersey, which doesn't necessarily have a reputation for being the cleanest government, I gotta believe that there's going to be people that are going to be in a position where they go, you had $500,000 in cash and you had these gold bars. And by the way, that's not their entire case. That's just the evidence of the bribery that they found. My understanding is they have witnesses who talk about how there's people who are inside this who are going to testify about the scheme, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they've got the physical evidence of the scheme. And unless he's got detailed records from his banks showing cash withdrawals over the period of years that come up to this, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Let's talk to Kenny in West Dallas. Kenny, you're on WTMJ.
How you doing, Jeff?
Good. What do you think? Should he go? Should he resign?
Nope. And I want to ask you a question. Why aren't all the Democrats asking for the resignation of Joe Biden, who is as corrupt or more corrupt, and his corruption has affected the national security and the economy of the United States? So if I was a Republican, I wouldn't step down until the president stepped down, because he has done just as bad as Menendez and the other guy.
Well, Kenny, thanks for the call. Here's my answer to this. Joe Biden has not been indicted. I mean, if somebody did a search warrant somewhere, if somebody did a search warrant somewhere and they found Joe Biden with $500,000 in cash and a bunch of gold bullion, and there was evidence that ties him back, that's a whole different story. But there haven't been at this point any sort of criminal charges that have been brought against him, and Joe Biden's been investigated up and down. Now, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of is Hunter Biden corrupt and what was the Biden family? That's a separate thing. But at this point in time, no criminal charges have been brought against Joe Biden, and pretty much everybody that's looked at this has not been able to uncover evidence directly showing, and look, I've talked about the Hunter Biden thing before. I think the kid was a grifter. I think he clearly traded on his family name to get, positions money that he would otherwise never have had any hope to get. So did Joe know about what the kid was doing? Well, I understand that there's all this stuff. But again, if there's charges brought against Joe Biden, if he is indicted, and if they find all sorts of money squirreled away in his house, well, let's talk about that then. This is a different case. This is a federal grand jury that has found probable cause to believe that he has committed these various crimes. And I think it's an absolute and total embarrassment that he continues to stay in office. Now, a number of people are saying, well, what about Trump? What about Trump? Well, look, if you're a regular listener to this program, you know that I think that, and I'm still not sure that this isn't going to happen. I think that at some point in time, I think Donald Trump would do himself a favor by simply saying, all right, I am going to spend the next year of my life defending myself against these various charges, as opposed to running for president. Because I actually, it's one of the reasons why I think it is disqualifying. You look at the different charges against Donald Trump. I'm one of these guys that want Trump to go away, but Trump isn't in a position where he can resign from anything. Do I think it would be in the interest of the Republican Party and the country for Donald Trump to say, all right, I'm not running for president. I'm going to concentrate on trying to vindicate myself from these quote unquote frivolous charges? Yes, I do. But that's different than, Trump continuing to be in office like Menendez is and like George Santos is. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
Senior political reporter from TMJ4 News, Charles Benson.
You got a sense of, how Milwaukee was enthusiastic about this convention.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank talk and text line 855-616-1620 and get a link sent directly to you. It's the countdown to the RNC podcast, only here on WTMJ.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
It's David Nason from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show for hair construction. If your septic or mound system needs repair, residential or commercial, contact the team who specializes in them, Hair Construction. They have you covered. The friendly, knowledgeable staff at Hair Construction can guide you from a simple septic pumping all the way through an emergency repair or replacement. For all your septic needs, contact the experts at Hair Construction today, 262-968-2550, or find them online at haircorp.com. That's HERRcorp.com.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik for Flanner's Home Entertainment. How about improving watching the team and the games this season by pulling the trigger on an upgrade to your TV and audio system from Flanner's Home Entertainment? In an age of impersonable big box stores and risky online purchases, there is still our locally owned Flanner's, where quality, service, the best brands, and guaranteed best price remain top priorities. Shop Flanner's in West Dallas, Grafton, and at Flanners.com. Flanner's. Sound advice at the best price. Just press play.
Wouldn't you love a pair of high heels that feel like sneakers?
That reminds me of the Parker sofa at Penny Mustard. It looks like a sleek but terribly rigid sofa where Mad Men sipped martinis.
But you won't believe how incredibly comfortable it is.
Yeah, if sofas had felt like this in the 60s, those men wouldn't have been so mad.
Come see the Parker sofa with tufted seat backs and streamlined metal legs, starting at $42.24 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Is outdoor living limited at your place? Well, imagine a deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen in your yard. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. They're the best. Let them make Outdoor Living Unlimited in your yard like they did in ours. We are Wisconsin. We live outdoors as much as possible. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So very glad to have you with us. A lot of people tuning in, checking out my old school kind of Brewers outfit tonight. You can watch us as we stream the programs live simply by going to our YouTube channel and putting in WTMJ, or alternatively, WTMJ.com. Hit the watch live button, or of course listening to us on the radio as well. And always a lot of fun, and we know lots of people are starting to do that. We've always had good number of people who are watching, and now lots more people are watching. And so again, I'm going to the Brewers game tonight right after work and rocking the old school. This is the best Brewers logo in my opinion. It's the old ball and glove, which I thought was incredibly creative. Okay, let me give you a little bit of Milwaukee history. So for people like my producer Samantha, who didn't grow up or around here, back in the day, there was a shopping center called Capitol Court, which was on 60th and Capitol. And when I was a kid, Capitol Court was a thriving shopping center. You had there was a Gimbal store I know that was there. There was a Boston store that was there. In the parking lot, they had this thing called Funland, and I can remember as a kid going over there. It was a small amusement park. There was a movie theater, but it was thriving. And again, it's on 60th and Capitol. Well, Capitol Court sort of went the way of a lot of stuff in these urban areas, and it deteriorated for a lot of reasons. Well, what happened is in the Midtown Center, 60th and Capitol, at one point in time, there was a big box building that housed a Walmart. And this was, again, it was at the Midtown Center. The Walmart went out of business in 2016, as did, many of the places at the Midtown Center. And 7 years later, that building, which is a huge building, continues to be vacant. It's a 15-acre property. The building itself is about 16, the building has about 16,000 square feet. The overall Midtown Shopping Center has about 50,000 square feet that is vacant. So it's this giant empty shopping center, largely in a challenged, whether it's for whatever reasons, and that's a whole different story, whether it's because of crime or the economics of the area. It's a huge empty shopping center, largely empty shopping center, highlighted by a 16,000-foot empty Walmart that's been empty for the last, like I say, 6 or 7 years. So what happens last year is this. It's called Affordable Family Storage. That's the company. They're based out of Iowa, and they've got like sub-companies. But they come in and they buy that property. They buy the Walmart that has been vacant for 7 years, and they pay about $3 million for this. What this company does is and this is what they've done across the country, they take shuttered retail big box stores, and what they do is they turn them into self-storage facilities, right? And so they've done this before. Their first location is, they did this at a Pick and Save grocery store on South Packard Avenue in Cudahy. So they buy this. The company has 18 self-storage locations across the Midwest. So what they do is they say, okay, here's the deal. You've got this empty facility, and what we want to do is we want to try to do something with this. Obviously, you're not going to be able to bring back retail, so we want to put this self-storage in. Well, here's the way the local newspaper reports it. A plan to convert a long-vacant Central City Walmart into a self-storage facility with retail storefronts is opposed by city officials. So they want to take this space. Now, they want to convert 850 self-storage units. And then what they would do is they would take the remaining space and convert it into 4 small and mid-sized retail and commercial storefronts. They would also replace part of the former Walmart parking lot with green space, which could eventually be a site for affordable apartments. Self-storage centers right now are barred at Midtown Center because the city says, well, we don't want these because we don't think that self-storage is going to bring enough activity to the Midtown Center, to which they say, wait a second, you've got this building that has been empty for 7 years. There's no realistic chance that you're going to find a big box retailer to move in. So what we want to do is we want to turn it into this self-storage facility, at least the majority of it, and then maybe, if once we get this going, maybe we get some small development that's going there, but to just do nothing with it and not let us turn it into self-storage just pretty much guarantees that this place is going to continue to be an eyesore and a blight. And just as they have done with Northridge in the past, the city is saying, well, no, we don't think this is a good idea. The alderman for the area says he opposes the plan in part because a large self-storage facility would do little to help the Midtown Center. The Plan Commission voted to deny the company's request for a zoning exception. All right, our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. So you have a vacant building that's been vacant for the last 7 years. You have this company that says, look, we've got a use for this. We think we can turn it into self-storage. We think that might generate some additional interest in this area. And the city's saying, we don't like self-storage. 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Look, I understand that the best case scenario would be if you could recreate Capitol Court out there in 1972. But it's not 1972, and it's not the old Capitol Court. When you have a building that's been vacant for 7 years, if you don't allow the company that owns it to do what it is that they do best, don't you pretty much guarantee that that building's going to continue to be empty for another 7 years or 17 or 70 years? 855-616-1620. Sometimes the city just can't get out of its own way. What do you think? We discuss in just a moment. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, a group of doctors I trusted with my knee surgery. The pain was real and options were important. My experience with each doctor was thorough, the appointments were timely, always close and easy access to the building. My mom felt the same way, I know, when she went there for her physical therapy appointments at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I trusted their surgical team for my knee surgery, and I know they'll take care of you the way they did my mom and me. Make an appointment at orthowisconsin.com.
We asked people why they sold their homes to Grandview Homes instead of using a real estate agent.
We needed to sell Mom's home quickly and with a company we could rely on.
No showings, no closing costs, no staging, no real estate agent fees, no added stress.
Whether you have a hard-to-sell home, want a stress-free sale, or simply need to sell your home fast, Grandview Homes is the name you know and the name you can trust. Visit GrandviewHomes.com to discover the easiest and fastest way to sell a home.
Matt had just moved into his first apartment and needed furniture to fill it, but he didn't have a big credit line. So I told him about St. Vincent de Paul. There's always a nice selection of gently used furniture there, and sometimes you can find some really cool retro pieces. And the best part is, it's always super affordable. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores for first-time furniture buyers or anyone looking for great deals on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield and 23rd and Lincoln in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
For those of you watching on our YouTube channel, this is another one of those situations where I'm afraid my head is just going to absolutely explode. Just like the conversation we've had with Northridge. If you were to say to me, okay, Jeff, you've got this vacant Walmart, the old Capitol Court, now they call it Midtown. You got this vacant Walmart. It's been vacant for 7 years, and there's no serious likelihood that any significant retail is going to go back in there. That's just kind of the reality. If there was, it would have probably happened over the course of the last 7 years. So the company that bought this place, they specialize in self-storage. So they say, here's what we want to do. We want to take 105,000 of the 160,000 square foot building or whatever, and we want to turn it into self-storage. We want to start using this. We want to start generating revenue out of this, and then we'll take some of the remaining space and we'll create some small storefronts, and we'll see if we can get anybody in there. But this is, the key to it is it's got to be self-storage. That's what this company does. That's how they generate their revenue. And the city of Milwaukee, no, we don't think that that's the best use. We don't think that self-storage does much for the neighborhood. Like a vacant Walmart does anything for the neighborhood. 855-616-1620. Jeff, as long as the city does absolutely nothing to control crime and violence in Midtown, the area is going to attract no businesses other than some of these different types of stores. Jeff, if the city has any better ideas, tell them to get them implemented. It's been sitting there for years, and the city council hasn't come up with anything, so they shouldn't worry about what happens to it. Well, they can worry about what happens to it, but if you don't have any alternatives that are out there, and in this case, the alternative is a vacant building that, look at Northridge, is going to continue to deteriorate. It's an attraction for crime. There's nothing good that comes of this. This business is at least saying, hey, we've got a plan. And by the way, if we can get this self-storage thing going, we can generate some revenue, maybe we can open up a couple small storefronts and attract people. And then we've still got all this space in this vacant parking lot full of weeds. Maybe what we can do is we might even be able to use that for some green space and do some retail development, do some, residential development. But the key is you got to get this whole thing started. 855-616-1620. Jeff, maybe the gas station in that area, which is being forced to close, will also become more self-storage. There's a point there. Jeff, the city of Milwaukee government is a clown show. Let me stop there. I think that might be an insult to clown shows. Why would they turn this down? It's tax revenue. If they could get a grip on crime, maybe businesses wouldn't be closing or relocating. Yes, you've got that there. Jeff, plain and simple, the city is making the wrong move to deny the self-storage. I'm 53 years old, and I grew up on 57th and Hampton. I worked at the Save-A Center food store at Capitol Court when I was a kid. There's never, ever going to be booming retail in that area again. Bordered by Capitol and Fond du Lac Avenue, dangerous roads, dangerous neighborhoods. It's sad what that neighborhood has become. I agree with all that, but this is at least something that gets some sort of industry that is in there. Jeff, they will never get retail in there again. I mean, this is going to become another Northridge. Jeff, the aldermen in Milwaukee continue to prove themselves to be foolish. Time and time again, they prefer vacant properties and blight over any form of development. Let me give you examples. Northridge, Century City, and now Capitol Court. Yeah, the Century City thing, for those of you who might be new to the area. Century City, old plant that's been vacant for the longest time. What you had is Strauss Veal, the meatpacking facility in Franklin. They wanted to locate into Century City. They were going to bring 200 plus, and Strauss is a wonderful company. They were going to bring 200 plus, really good, well-paying jobs into that area. Century City, very, very tough area because not only you get the neighborhood, not only you got the crime, but also it's landlocked. It doesn't have access to freeways. It's hard to get to. But Strauss was going to build this facility there, which I believe, and I think most people believe, would have been a catalyst for, at least it could have been a catalyst for development in that area. And after you had a couple people started whining, what ended up happening is the aldermen decided, well, I don't think this is an appropriate place for a meat packing plant without ever having gone, I don't believe, to Strauss's facility in Franklin, because if you had, you would have known that you couldn't tell it. It's not like meatpacking plants aren't like meatpacking plants were in 1920 when Upton Sinclair wrote the book The Jungle. You couldn't tell, and I went past their facility, you couldn't tell the difference between the meatpacking plant and, I don't know, a company that, makes boxes or things like that. But anyhow, the alderman objected, people in the neighborhood started whining, so Strauss said, fine, you don't want us, go with God, forget it. And as a result, you still have this blight. This is what's going on. This is what's going on a regular basis that's out there. And if you would put this in, you would, somebody was saying, well, how does this benefit the city? Well, of course it benefits the city because you have an employer that's now, paying taxes and things like that. It's an industry as opposed to an empty building. But at this point in time, the city is saying no to this without any reasonable alternative as to what else is going to go in there. Mind-boggling to me. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Charge into October. Get your Brewers postseason tickets now. Secure your spot and prepare to unleash chaos, make mayhem, and watch stars come to life in the spotlight of postseason baseball. The Brewers' moments you live for are coming. Make sure you don't miss a single pivotal pitch or season-changing home run. Get your Brewers postseason tickets now at brewers.com/postseason.
Let's talk for a minute about Gruber Law Offices. Matter of fact, David Gruber and I, we were in law school at the same time back in the day. They have been serving the people of the state of Wisconsin for over 35 years. Giving back to the community is important to them. They get results that speak for themselves. They wouldn't be in business for over 35 years if they didn't. At Gruber Law, they help people and families who are seriously injured in accidents. They stand up for victims and take the burden off the shoulders of those victims. They'll focus on the legal aspect of things while their clients focus on healing. It's just one call, and they handle the rest. Providing the best care, service, and representation is their priority. Now, Gruber Law is one of the largest personal injury firms in the Midwest. They're family-owned and operated, but nevertheless, they've got a large, powerful team with resources to take on insurance companies. And here's how it works. There's no cost to call. There's no cost for a consultation. There's no fee to retain their firm. As a matter of fact, there's never a fee until they win your case. Like I say, they've been making a difference and helping others in the community for going on 40 years now. Visit them at gruber-law.com to learn more about the firm, in addition to what they do in the community. If it's easier, give them a call, 414-276-6666.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
The famous Fox and Hounds and Mineshaft restaurants are hiring servers, bartenders, bussers, food runners, and barbacks. It's a great part-time job for high school and college students and retirees. Make real money. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Inquire today. Start next week.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
You know, I understand that we all view things through the prism of our political perspectives. And, you know, if you're a liberal, then, you know, the left can do no wrong. And if you're a conservative, then the right can do no wrong. But every once in a while, I get frustrated because there's stuff that is common sense. And we're so blinded by our political stuff that we can't deal with this. And I understand that there's all sorts of issues that go on with how we conduct elections. Now, I don't believe that elections have been stolen, but I do believe over the last several years you have had procedures that have been adopted that run contrary to state law. You know, and you've had an elections board that's made some determinations, and I think they've been wrong on the law. But does that mean an election's been stolen? Do I believe that there's evidence that all sorts of people were, fraudulently voted? No, I don't. I just think that you've got issues with like best practices. One of the problems over the last several years has been the fact that nowadays more and more people vote early. That's just the reality, and that's not going to change. It's just not going to change. So what happens, and it was starting to happen before the pandemic, and now it's just increased. So what happens is people go in, and I do this. I typically don't vote through the mail, but I early absentee vote. You know, then when it opens up a week before the election or 10 days or whatever it is, I typically go over to City Hall. I cast my ballot. I fill it out. I put it in the envelope. I seal it. I give it to the clerk. And then what happens is that ballot is put somewhere in some secure facility. But even though I have cast the vote, 9 days, 10 days before the election, the envelope is not opened and it is not checked until Election Day. Because where it stands right now is under current law, clerks cannot begin counting absentee ballots before 7 a.m. on Election Day. Now, so why does this create an issue? So let's say you've got 50%, 40%, 35% of the votes that are cast are early votes, absentee, whether in-person absentee or sent through the mail. So what happens is you have all these things that are stacked up, but you can't even begin opening them and trying to verify them till Election Day. Meanwhile, you've got the poll workers who are dealing on Election Day with the crush of everyone else who is coming in to vote. The result of this has been, particularly in some of our urban areas, Milwaukee specifically, that what happens is that the poll workers, yes, they can begin processing these absentee ballots at 7 a.m., but a lot of times there's flat out not enough of them. And so what happens is you get the ballots that are cast during the day, the in-person votes, and they get counted. And then you have, late at night, you have this ballot dump where all of a sudden, they get around to saying, okay, we have X thousands of these early votes that have come in, these absentee votes, and now we're going to dump them into the system. And what you see is, for example, if you remember the Scott Walker, Tony Evers gubernatorial election, a lot of people who went to bed thought Scott Walker had been reelected. But then you had the ballot dump of Milwaukee, where you have thousands and thousands of votes, which are largely Evers votes that come in and they flip the totals. Well, a lot of people were saying, okay, that's evidence of fraud. I don't believe it's evidence of fraud at all. It's just evidence of the way the system works, that we don't allow these early votes to be processed in a timely fashion, I would argue. So there's a new bill that's been introduced by 3 Republican lawmakers, which would allow clerks to begin processing absentee ballots the day before Election Day. While clerks would not be able to count absentee ballots until after the polls close, they could perform tasks like ensuring the voter is not ineligible due to a felony conviction, checking that the envelope contains what it needs to contain, like the witness signature, and taking the ballot out of the envelope to run it through the voting equipment. So you have everything set to go so that when the day before the Election Day rolls along, you can do all this, so it's set to go, and then you can just start feeding these things through. Now, I would actually go farther, and I think that when these ballots come in, they should, you should have the ability, the clerk should have the ability to, process these things and again, start feeding them into the machines, not tabulating them, but feeding them in. So when the polls open, you can just push the button and then they could automatically be counted. But some people disagree with that. I don't see the downside to this. I know people think that, there's this potential for fraud that's out there. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. Do I think that the clerk should count? And the concern is, somebody could count these things and you could know, which candidate has X amount of votes beforehand. No, you still keep them under some sort of secured thing. It's just that you get everything done before Election Day. So when Election Day rolls around and these clerks are overwhelmed, particularly in some of the urban areas, by the crush of people who are coming in, you can just have somebody just feeding these things in instead of going through all this rigmarole that you have to go through. Get all that out of the way so you can get these things processed. Candidly, if you want, at least in my opinion, if you want to have election integrity, one of the things that hurts election integrity is the fact that, like I was saying, you go to bed thinking one candidate's won, and then all of a sudden there's been this huge swing of votes, and 100,000 votes came in and 80,000 for one candidate. That makes you think about what happened when Lyndon Johnson won his Senate race in Texas back in the 1950s, where they always used to say it's not who votes, it's who counts the votes, and it's when they count the votes. Well, I don't believe that happens in Wisconsin, but I believe that the way we do things now contributes to people going, hey, this is kind of funny. That out of the last 50,000 votes, 40,000 went for, one side or the other. Well, it's largely because of where those votes come from. And if they're coming, for example, from the city of Milwaukee, it's going to be the Democrat with 75% of those votes, or maybe more. So that's not surprising that happens, but it's not a good look. So this is at least a step to try to minimize it. I would go farther, but this is one where it seems to me that Republicans and Democrats and the governor should be able to get get some sort of agreement. So we do something, again, to make it easier for the clerks who are trying to get ballots counted and results announced in a timely fashion on Election Day. All right, when we come back, don't California my car. I'll explain. We'll discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Get inside the mind of Mark Tauscher.
I feel like I'm a smart person most of the time.
See the world from his perspective.
Sometimes ignorance is bliss. And in this case, I don't know if I'd say it was bliss, but I was definitely ignorant.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, every day at 7:50.
I kind of went with the attitude of don't even have your phone with you. They can't call you. They can't cut you.
Mark Tauscher on Wisconsin's Morning News. Presented by your Wisconsin Chevy dealers. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Kohler Services.
Find the brands, inspiration, and great value you need to own your style at Macy's VIP sale. Going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off fall trends and updates. Plus 15% off go-to beauty, skincare, and fragrances. Plus shop specials and find great deals on top brands at Macy's VIP sale. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
It's David Nason from WTMJ's The Fix-It Show for hair construction. If your septic or mound system needs repair, residential or commercial, contact the team who specializes in them, Hair Construction. They have you covered. The friendly, knowledgeable staff at Hair Construction can guide you from a simple septic pumping all the way through an emergency repair or replacement. For all your septic needs, contact the experts at Hair Construction today, 262-968-2550, or find them online at haircorp.com. That's HERRcorp.com.
Champagne's not as cheap as ginger ale, and you can't buy caviar for the same price as candy. But right now, you can buy high-end Beautyrest and Sealy Posturepedic mattresses for nowhere near high-end prices. Hasseless Mattress is clearing out a handful of premium floor models, like the Sealy Posturepedic Glendale Falls Queen. Was on sale for $955, now just $362. Only a few remain, and they will sell out. Find a self-service employee-free showroom near you at Hasselist.com.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, the premier outdoor living specialists.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Sorry, Fred Bird, it was all over for you before it started. Let's just get this over with. The Cardinals are in Milwaukee, with coverage starting at 6:05. This series is sponsored by MATC. The Hunt for Brew October is presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank, on News Radio 620 WTMJ Milwaukee.
At 2:01, it's 65 degrees, mostly cloudy. Showers continue tonight, a low 64. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm John Mercier. Our top story, the hunt for Brew October is on. With a win tonight at American Family Field or a loss by the Cubs in Atlanta, the Brewers will win the National League Central Division title.
The Brewers will have a chance to clinch at home tonight, in front of the fans and, of course, in front of Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker.
Now Uecker gets to call us. You're excited about that, and it makes you happy for sure.
Manager Craig Counsell tells Wisconsin's Morning News the best part is knowing that Ueck's going to be there all through October.
We've all had that thought on our mind, Bob, calling World Series games and having that shot to do that.
And the Brewers are going to the postseason again.
Eric Bilstead, WTMJ News.
They're the Central Division champions.
Our coverage of the Brewers and Cardinals begins at 6:05. First pitch just after 6:30. President Joe Biden now on the ground in Michigan. The president greeted upon landing by United Auto Workers President Shawn Fain, whose striking workers are taking on the big three automakers. The president joining workers on the picket line. ABC's Terry Moran is there.
It's day 11 of this strike, and what we hear from people about the Biden visit, and frankly also about Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, he's going to be in Michigan to make a speech to union workers and supporters. They are appreciative of support from any quarter.
And while Trump will be there tomorrow, he is skipping tomorrow's GOP debate. An administrative mistake means Milwaukee won't be receiving a federal law enforcement grant in 2024.
But mistake or no mistake, it turns out the city likely wouldn't have accepted it anyway. Mayor Cavalier Johnson tells WTMJ now,
we probably wouldn't have been able to implement it anyway because of the provisions in Act 12, which disincentivize us from applying for federal PASS grants.
Johnson says the city is focused on hiring police officers, but the goal is to use city money to fund 3 classes of 65 recruits next year.
That's the maximum amount of classes with a maximum amount of recruits that we'll be able to train in the city of Milwaukee in a given year.
Wyatt Barmore-Pooley, WTMJ News.
And the Culver's Curder Burger is making a comeback. Culver's announcing that the Curder Burger, the limited edition cheese curd patty top burger that sent people to the restaurant chain last 2 years, will again be offered on Monday, October 2nd. The novelty burger created a buzz when it came out in 2021 after previously announced as an April Fool's joke earlier in the year. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. It's ugly today. The S&P 500 off 64 points. The Dow right now down 397, and the NASDAQ off 207. Navigating the Markets is back and scheduled for Mequon, Madison, Brookfield, and Appleton. Get set for what's next. Details at annexwealth.com/events. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:04.
This report sponsored by Mr. Holland's Heating and Air Conditioning. Visit MrHollandsHeatingandAir.com.
You're not going to use all that heat at once, so why pay for it all at once? I mean, you don't buy a sack of potatoes and eat them all in one sitting, or hoard toilet paper for one morning of relief. Okay, maybe these aren't the best examples. The point is, buying a brand new furnace doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing transaction. Purchase a fully warranted factory fresh furnace from Mr. Holland's Home Services and enjoy 0% interest for 24 months. This means you can have your heat and afford it too. Face it, your old furnace is running way too hard and racking up unnecessarily high energy bills. But with a new high-efficiency furnace from Mr. Holland's, you may see a dip in those bills, plus interest-free payments for 2 whole years. That's no small potatoes or toilet paper. Call 866-992-1717 or visit MrHollandsHomeservices.com. If you're ready to pay for 24-hour comfort over 24 months, we can help.
Get to and from every home game in Green Bay this football season safely. Milwaukee Brathaus, Jack's American Pub, and Wanakee Golf Course all offer transportation on game days. They've got bus services with private restrooms and all-you-can-drink packages. Book your round-trip ride from any of these locations and get complimentary access to an all-you-can-eat and drink tailgate at the bar on Holmgren Way. Make your game day experience a VIP experience with your official ride to Green Bay. Visit MilwaukeeBrathaus.com to book your trip today.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. If you're looking for a Medicare plan with freedom and flexibility, choose a Network Health Medicare Advantage plan. Plans start as low as $0 a month with $0 doctor visits and $0 prescription drugs. plus vision, hearing, and dental benefits. For 40 years, Network Health has been a trusted expert in making health insurance affordable and understandable. Don't wait. Call 833-7-NETWORK today.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update.
After a wild win in Week 3, the Green Bay Packers are now shifting their focus to the Detroit Lions. Head coach Dan Campbell and his team coming into Lambeau Field on Thursday night, having won the last 3 matchups between the two teams. For head coach Matt LaFleur, he knows the test for his young team won't be an easy one.
I just think you see a tough, gritty group. They're an effort-based team, and you can see it all over the tape. No matter what phase you put on, they're going to give you everything they got. And they're a team that they're never out of the fight. You know you're going to battle a full 60 minutes.
The Packers will hold a practice later this afternoon with an injury report that should follow shortly after. The Milwaukee Brewers are back in action tonight and looking to clinch their second division title in 3 seasons. Brewers Cardinals live from American Family Field. Adrian Hauser on the mound as our coverage will begin right here on WTMJ beginning at 6 p.m. I'm Brandon Snide, WTMJ Sports.
Time for your Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Look at the board. It's pretty good despite the rain. Travel times are normal throughout the metro area. And your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Tonight, cloudy, showers likely, low 64. Tomorrow, cloudy 68 for your high. Thursday, partly cloudy 75. Friday, sunny 78. Saturday, sunny and warm, a high of 81 degrees. Right now in Madison, it's cloudy and 67 degrees. In Green Bay, lots of cloud cover and 69. In Waukesha, light showers and 62 degrees. Here in Milwaukee, it is rainy and 65 degrees. I'm John Merkier, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. John McCure, I was hoping that when you returned from your European vacation, you'd bring some good news about the stock market that has been on a relentless downward plunge, it seems.
Yeah, I sat down here, and the first thing I said as I opened it up right for the newscast is, my goodness, Jeff, look at the market. And you said, yeah, it's been like that for the whole time I was gone. It's been just plummeting.
Well, I'll give you, I was just pulling up the numbers during the break because, and you can go back to any time, but just arbitrarily I said, okay, let's go back to January 21st, 2021, which was Joe Biden's his inauguration.
Yep.
The NASDAQ, which was at the time was 13,457, is now 13,065. So over the last 2.5 years, it's down over 400 points. The S&P is up on average like 2 to 2.5% per year. The Dow is up slightly like 2% per year as well. But of course, inflation is what inflation is.
Right, it's almost 10%.
Yes.
It's just, it's depressing. I can't look at it, but I look at it every day.
Well, yeah, me too. But because again,
depressing.
And for people who say, well, it's only for people that are wealthy and stuff. No, I mean, most people have money in the stock market, whether it's in your 401k plans or your IRAs or people that are living on fixed income that make some of these predictions. And they're like, okay, well, I understand that you can't have unprecedented growth, but it's just... It's been a bad stretch of time.
Yeah, July was pretty decent, and August and September have been brutal. I mean, just really bad. August is typically a bad month. September typically is a pretty good month, and September has been terrible.
Right, and you said off the air, and you're exactly right. I don't know what it's going to take to turn this around. It's funny because every morning I sit down in my office, and as I'm doing research to get ready for the show, I pull up the Wall Street Journal, and they have across the front of it, they'll have the futures, before the market opens. And every day I keep thinking, oh, it's got to be green numbers. And every day it's these red numbers that are out
so
there.
Yesterday was a day where it was red almost all day, and at the end of the day, everything closed up just a hair above flat. And I try to take that and say, all right, so this is good. There was momentum at the end of the day. Maybe it's going to be better, and today is once again a terrible day.
Awful. But, you'll have more of that on Wisconsin's Afternoon
You got that
News.
right.
But it's a... Yes, it is bleak. There's no question about it. Of course, President Biden, he joined auto workers on the picket line in Michigan, and we talked about that at the start of the program. You can listen to that on the podcast. I was asking people for one word, and to me, just absolutely pathetic. This is the first time in American history that a sitting president normally presidents are trying to resolve these things and work these things out. This is the first time that a sitting president has made the decision to go on a picket line. And of course, he's still not answering the questions that people are now asking, saying, well, the United Auto Workers, they want a 40% wage increase. Do you think that they should get this, Mr. President? Mr. President, the United Auto Workers want full pay, 40-hour pay for a 32-hour week. Do you think they should get it? And he's refusing to answer that, but he's on the picket lines. Franklin Roosevelt never did this. Harry Truman never did this, and Joe Biden has, without any sort of thought about, hey, what would happen to the economy if actually the big three companies gave in? And what they say is, well, our companies would be bankrupt in the next couple of years. And by the way, all this stuff with the electric vehicles isn't going to happen. Which brings me to what I want to discuss with you next. Speaking of electric vehicles. Now, if you are a regular listener of this program, you know that if you want to buy an electric vehicle, my response is go with God. That's it. I have no interest in doing this. I don't think the technology is there. Maybe it's going to be there in 5 years. I mean, maybe you're going to have the battery technology. Maybe you're going to have the long distance capacity. Maybe you're going to have enough chargers, and maybe you're going to be able to recharge your car fast enough to make these practical. It may very well be the case, but we're not there now. And as a result, I would never buy an electric vehicle. Now, I know people who have electric vehicles. I do. And in general, I think most of them, like them. But they're second or third cars. They're play toys. They're, okay, we're going to take a spin around town and things like that. It's not practical for long-range driving unless you're really willing to say, okay, I'm going to take a chance that I'm not going to be able to, find a charger, or I'm going to drive all over, and I'm willing to wait a couple hours to charge the car. It's just not practical for most people. So I understand there's the early adopters out there that love them. The other problem is our electric grid just simply cannot support this. I mean, where is the electricity going to come from? But that's okay. If you want to buy the electric vehicle, that's fine. What I object to, though, is the government forcing the rest of us into buying electric vehicles. To me, this is a free market thing. If the technology and the price and the convenience comes to a certain point that people want to buy this, well, then that's great. But I do not believe that the government should be forcing this. And yet this is precisely what is going on in California. Now, California has asked the federal government for a waiver of rules. They need a waiver of rules. But what they want to do is they want to ban the sale of any gasoline-powered car, new car, after 2035. So if you had a gasoline-powered used car, you could sell it, you could drive it. But no new cars that are powered by gasoline after 2035. In addition to this, they are phasing this in. California would also say, and let me pull up the numbers, 2026, 2.5, 3 years from now, 35% of the new cars would have to be electric. And by 2030, 6 years from now, 6.5 years, 68%. So if you want to buy a new car, effectively the cost of that new car that is gasoline powered is going to go through the roof because the automakers, there's going to be a limited number of what they can sell. And this isn't based on market. This isn't based on, hey, you've got 35% of the people who want to buy electric vehicles in 2026, because then it would take care of itself. This is based on the fact that the government is coming in and saying, no, we're not going to let you, 35% of the cars have to be electric, whether you want them or not, which means that the people buying that 65% of the non-electric cars, they're going to be paying a lot more. Last week, 8 House Democrats and 214 Republicans voted to block California and other states from banning gasoline-powered vehicles. And the way they do this is by telling the Environmental Protection Agency that, their interpretation of CO2 laws is wrong and that they can't do it. But the bottom line is, as it stands right now, if you want to buy a new car in California or in 15 other states that follow California's rules, 35% are going to have to be electric vehicles by 2026. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. All right, this is something that maybe some people think is a really, really good idea. I'm sure it's something that appeals to Tony Evers if he could have ever had enough votes in the legislature to get this passed. But what do you think about the government mandating effectively that you must buy an electric vehicle? Because that's going to be the rule in 2035. But as soon as 2026 in some states like California, that's going to be the practical effect because the cost of internal combustion engines is going to be so high, you're going to price a lot of people out of at least the new car market. 855-616-1620. We discuss, is it time to California or Wisconsin?
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Vince Vitrano here from Wisconsin's Morning News, reminding you to subscribe to the Wisconsin's Morning News podcast. We update it every day with every segment, every interview, and every bit we do on the show. Wait, we don't do bits on the show.
If my intelligence is artificial, then why am I smarter than you?
Absolutely boat racing.
Let's go! Come on, let's go!
All right, maybe we do some bits.
F you.
Subscribe to the Wisconsin's Morning News podcast wherever you get your podcasts or listen live on WTMJ.com.
What's the way to build your wealth?
While going over a new client's statements from one of the big financial firms, I was floored when I read that firm does not offer tax or estate planning advice. Because we know that saving money for our clients on their taxes, legally and well within the law, can make a huge difference in their financial plan. If you want to wisely build your wealth, it is my firm opinion that without a comprehensive approach, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. At Financial Strategies, Inc., we're taking a deep dive and creating comprehensive strategies that develop your retirement, investment, and your tax and estate planning. And all under a fee-only structure that means the success we care about most is yours. I'm Jim Cantrell, and I believe we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to FinancialStrategiesInc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
When you need emergency service 24/7, any time of the day, any day of the year, call Quality Heating. With one of Wisconsin's largest HVAC fleets, you can count on us being there in a hurry. So don't worry. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. When you're in a heating or air conditioning jam, just see the man in the red van, and he's going to have a master plan to make sure you stay comfortable.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
We will only sell products we believe in, and we believe in Armstrong Air Furnaces. With variable speed blower and multi-stage performance, Armstrong Air's most advanced furnaces deliver the highest number of features, the most comfort, and the greatest efficiency. This is Anthony Zanevsky with Quality Heating. To me, Armstrong Air is the professional's choice. So see the man in the red van, and we'll get you a furnace you can rely on for the long haul.
You gotta see the man in the red van. Quality Heating, Quality Heating.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
855-616-1620. Look, if you want to buy an electric vehicle, fine. Buy an electric vehicle. To me, and I don't even want to just get into the whole idea about whether the government should be subsidizing people's purchases of $60,000 vehicles by giving them $7,500 in credit. Let's even put that aside. But I think it should be an individual choice. I don't think the government should be arbitrarily saying, okay, within the next 10 years, you're not even going to have the option of buying a new internal combustion engine car. Or by 2026, 35% of the cars that are sold have to be electric vehicles, even if the technology isn't there. And the truth of the matter is the technology isn't close to this. One of our texters says, does anyone else see the irony between banning gas-powered vehicles and the current situation with the strike? Our government has no forethought. They are in the moment thinkers. Well, right, that's part of the issue that's here. You've got the United Auto Workers that are out on strike. Okay, that's fine, or at least some of them are out on strike. Well, at the same time, Joe Biden is walking the picket lines with them. He's also essentially killing the American automobile industry by saying, all right, we're going to go to these electric vehicles. And the truth is, a lot of the electric vehicles are manufactured at non-union shops. A lot of the stuff is coming in from overseas. This is part, and by the way, he's saying, well, I want the worker to get more money. Okay, that's all well and good, but that's money that then they're not able to put into developing American electric vehicle plants. Yes, I do in fact see the irony of that. Jill says forcing people to buy an electric vehicle is wrong. My husband and I do have an all-electric car that we love, but that was our choice. Yes, there's no question about that. And if you want to do that, that's great. Jeff, this will mean there's going to be a lot of traditional new car dealerships opening up in cities right across the border of California. People will just cross state lines. I mean, again, I would think that would be the case. And one of our texters makes an interesting point about the whole notion of where the power is going to come from, and said, okay, well, are the same people who are pushing for electric vehicles, where are they on the whole issue of nuclear power? Which I think is a very, very fair question. I'm a fan of nuclear power. I think that, when you talk about clean, efficient energy, that's what the future is. But you try to talk to people about, well, let's build a nuclear plant, and everybody, goes back to, the Jane Fonda movie in the 1970s, the China syndrome. Oh my gosh, we're going to have all this stuff happen without regard for, where the nuclear industry is now. But regardless of how you feel about nuclear energy, the truth is, when the electric grid right now in many parts of the country is simply not sustainable for the demand we have now. So what's going to happen when we move on, and what's going to happen when we say, okay, let's figure this out, and we're going to have all these other cars now that are going to be on the grid? We're certainly not going to be ready for this in 2 years. Now, whether ultimately in 10 years we're ready for it, don't know. Let's talk to Mike in Appleton. Mike, you're on WTMJ.
Yes, I just wondered where hybrids fit into this conversation. It's like they get good mileage and they're not all the way electric, so can more safely go on longer rides or distances with them.
Right.
And I don't understand that about what California is saying in the rulings. If 35%, is that just completely electric?
Yes.
Or
yes, that's completely electric.
Hybrid?
No, that doesn't include hybrids.
Well,
okay, I'll give you an idea. So I'm looking at this. Okay, 2035 is when they ban all sales of internal combustion engines. The rule would allow automakers to sell up to 20% plug-in hybrids, which have gas engines. So you could have but it has to be a plug-in hybrid. So that's where that falls in, to answer your question directly. But you got to understand, the people that are pushing for electric vehicles, they don't like hybrids because they still have the gas energy and the gas engines, and they're still using fossil fuels.
Yeah. Well, I'm not for a mandate, but I think that, the government encouraging that direction is probably a good thing in the long run. But it seems like to me hybrids are a better first step than going completely one way or the other.
Yeah, no, thanks. And again, no, and I appreciate that. And you see a lot more hybrids that are out there. A lot of the automakers are coming out with that, but a lot of the environmental folks, they don't like anything that's going to burn gasoline. That's the whole idea. Just like they don't want you heating your home with natural gas, just like they don't want you heating the water in your house with natural gas, just like, God forbid, that you should have a gas stove. They want to eliminate all those different types of things and then, again, force us to electricity. And I'm not anti-electricity, but the question becomes, where is it, in fact, going to come from? Now, my place in Florida, it's pretty much all electric. We don't have natural gas hookups where it is that I live, and that's okay. And so there's a gas water heater. We don't have a furnace. We have one of the heat pump things like there to provide the air conditioning. That's run by electricity, and that's fine. That's what comes with the territory. But up here, I mean, if you're going to heat a house, for example, in January, natural gas is the most efficient, plentiful way to do this. And yet you have people that hate it because it's a fossil fuel. The same thing is true, at least in my opinion, with these automobiles. We're just not ready for this right now. And look, if the automakers get behind this and you have these charging stations that are there and these things become practical, then the marketplace is going to take over. Then people will buy them because I understand there's certain aspects of the electric car that is superior to the internal combustion engine. But that's assuming that people are going to put up with all the stuff that you have to put up with, which includes the limited range and the need to come up with a way to charge the vehicle and all those different types of things. And by the way, what are we going to do with the batteries once the batteries start to expire? If you want to buy an electric car, that's great. But the government is trying to force us into this. And what you have is the government forcing us into this, and 2026 and 2030, it's coming faster than people think. And we're not just ready for this, period. My take, don't California our Wisconsin when it comes to cars. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Sorry, Fred Bird. It was all over for you before it started.
And I could have very easily just pulled out the standings.
Let's just get this over with. The Cardinals are in Milwaukee with coverage starting at 6:05. This series is sponsored by MATC. The Hunt for Brew October is presented by Network Health, Delta Dental, Annex Wealth Management, and Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank on 620 WTMJ.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi for Heiser Automotive. You know I love talking about Heiser. I am now driving a 2021 Lincoln Corsair all-wheel drive. Of course, perfect for all of Wisconsin's changing weathers. We all know about that weather. It is amazing, comfortable. I always say Lincolns have the best ride. 6-year, 100,000-mile comprehensive warranty coverage. All of the great features of Lincoln, all available at one of their 5 great locations. Check it out. You can also go to Heiser.com, see all of their great pre-owned and new vehicles. Stop, online, always there for you, much more. Heiser.com. They have all the inventory you might need for any vehicle need you have. You could be in a vehicle as soon as tonight. Need your current vehicle serviced? Heiser has, as I said, 5 convenient locations. Get your vehicle ready for the upcoming summer season. Call for an appointment. Schedule online. They can fix body damage, too, one of their great service centers. Make sure you visit Heiser.com for all your vehicle needs. That's why they say every day at Heiser, today's your day.
Be proactive so you're not freezing at home this winter. Your walls are drafty. Retrofoam of southeastern Wisconsin can fill your walls with foam insulation. It's all done from the exterior of your home without any hassle or mess. The entire process only takes a day, and Retrofoam of southeast Wisconsin offers a lifetime warranty and property protection guarantee. Retrofoam of southeastern Wisconsin takes pride in its customer service and efficiency. Get 20% off if you call by the end of September. Just search online. Retrofoam of southeast Wisconsin.
Hey Brewers fans, our favorite season is here, October baseball. Now's the time to put your wallet in winning mode with Wintrust Community Bank's most popular checking account. Open a total access checking account today and score yourself a $300 bonus with qualifying activities. Think about all the extra brats that you'll get. Experience the playoffs and banking as it should be. Visit wintrust.com/Brewers October. Wintrust, Wisconsin's bank. Different approach, better results. Proud partner of the Milwaukee Brewers. Only $100 required to open. No minimum monthly balance or monthly maintenance fees. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our regular listeners, Laura, who lives on the east side, but she lives more often in Las Vegas, Texas. Jeff, we have so many people already moving to Nevada due to high taxes and crime in California. This is going to cause the floodgates to open, and even more people will move here. Don't California my Nevada. I think that's a good bumper sticker thing. Don't California my Wisconsin. Don't California my Nevada. I had this story that just kind of brought back memories. Here's the way it was reported on Channel 12. Wauwatosa Post Office collection boxes broken into. Now, these are the drive-through, like you pull into the post office and you don't get out of your car. You just drive up and you stick the mail in the box, right? And then you drive off. So it's not in the post office proper. It is a convenience. And I guess this is, first of all, it comes in the category of there are people out there that will steal anything. They just will. So here's the story. Police think the suspect or suspects used a pry bar to open the boxes and steal the mail inside. United States postal collection boxes outside the Wauwatosa police office were broken into last week. According to the Wauwatosa police, they responded to the post office on Mayfair Road just before 2:30 in the afternoon on Friday. They believe that someone, or some people, used a pry bar to open the boxes and steal the mail and packages out of the 2 blue postal boxes. One of the regulars is quoted on the TV as saying, "Have a heart, man. Come on, have a heart." The boxes were still out of commission Monday with yellow signs posted on them warning customers not to use them and drop their mail off inside. Let's see, and the people are saying, you think this is not good that your mail is getting stolen. Investigators say the theft happened sometime between 8 p.m. on Thursday and 2:30 p.m. on Friday, an 18-hour window. Channel 12 checked the post office for exterior surveillance cameras, but did not spot any. They asked then, is there a video or are there cameras facing the boxes? Did not get a reply there. And so the question is then the Postal Service says, the United States Postal Inspection Service is aware of an issue at that location, and we are working with our partners at the Wauwatosa Police Department to address this. We don't have anything to say right now. So first of all, the question is, do you need to have security cameras? And I guess I would think it would be a good thing, but I have to tell you in all honesty, we're in a you-know-what of a spot in our society nowadays where you have to put up surveillance cameras on mailboxes because you've got some people that are going to come along and pry the mailboxes open. And maybe that's really the state that we're in. And I guess part of it is even if you put up the cameras, what is that necessarily going to tell you? Because they'll probably show up driving a stolen car and they'll, have their faces masked and things like that. So I'm not sure if what that does. But I mean, I think the bigger story is there's just people that'll steal anything. I mean, seriously, who thinks that there's going to be people that are brazen enough to pull up to a couple mailboxes, and these aren't remote mailboxes. This isn't some standalone mailbox at the end of some cul-de-sac somewhere. This is the Wauwatosa post office, and people pull up and they destroy these post office boxes. They destroy the mailboxes, prying into them. And I mean, I guess to me that's the real story here. That you have people who will steal absolutely everything. I have a story. I've told this before. Back in the day, before I started prosecuting drug cases, I was doing what we call, I was prosecuting reactive crimes, bank robberies, and things like that. Had this one case where I had a guy who was stealing from postal relay boxes. And the way it worked, at least back then, I don't know how they do it now, is in downtown, what would happen is in the morning, a mail truck would drive along, and every 2 blocks there'd be these green mailboxes, but they weren't mail that you could put things in. They were what they call relay boxes. And what they do is they would have like 2 blocks worth of mail, and they'd put the bag in there. And then you had a mail carrier who was on foot, and he would go and he would pick up, he'd open up the relay, that's what they call it, the relay box, and he'd take like the 2 blocks worth of mail, and he or she would deliver that, and then 2 blocks later they'd come to the next green box and they'd open that up and get the mail. So that's why they'd call it a relay box. It's every 2 blocks or so. So I had this guy who was stealing mail from the postal relay boxes. He'd wait till the mail truck came by in the morning, dropped these things off, and then what he'd do is he would go and he would break into the boxes and they'd steal, looking for checks and things like that out of that. And so the Postal Service frowns on this, and they caught the guy, and we prosecuted him. And I'll never forget the story because the judge at the time was a very, very nice guy, very, very liberal. And I know that the defense attorney, the guy was going to plead guilty to doing this, and I know that the defense attorney had told him the judge is going to think this is a waste of his time. that, where the federal government is prosecuting somebody for breaking into mailboxes and things like that. And the chances are that Wagner is going to get yelled at for even bringing this kind of case. So we're standing there, and we get to the point of sentencing, and the federal judge, we go through this, and the federal judge, I just remember, looks at him and says, I've had it with, this type, and the guy had a record and stuff, and he said, I've had it with this. I don't know what to do about guys like you with records like this, but all I know is I'm going to put you away where you can't steal from, law-abiding citizens, and he sentences the guy to 3 years in prison. And I'll never forget that the man immediately says, 3 years, and then he says a bad word, and then he says, 3 years, fudge, I didn't kill nobody. I just stole some mail. And the judge stalks off the bench, and we're all kind of surprised at what happened. Court reporter comes up to me later on that day, and says, well, the judge got back from his place up north, and somebody had burglarized his home in Shorewood, and he was not having any of it, which again proves that thing I always say, that many times a liberal is really a conservative who hasn't been robbed yet. But whenever I think about these relay boxes, I think of that story. And in this case, I guess it hasn't changed over the years. People still breaking into these postal service things. And, I guess the other thing is you break into one of these mailboxes, and it's a federal offense. And when you get caught, there is going to be, a comeuppance. There's no doubt about that. And what can you really get out of it? I mean, people don't send checks through the mail anymore. This isn't, it's not like, your Social Security checks are going to be there. People don't send cash in the mail. But obviously somebody thought it was worth breaking into these collection boxes. Go figure. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. And by everything, we mean top products by your favorite brands. From Blackstone to Blue Buffalo, Carhartt to Cooper, Milwaukee to Muddy, Scott's to Science Diet, DeWalt, Levi's, Purina, Husqvarna, Goodyear, Rapala, Vortex, and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Hi, I'm John McGivern. If you're looking for a Medicare plan with freedom and flexibility, choose a Network Health Medicare Advantage plan. Plans start as low as $0 a month with $0 doctor visits and $0 prescription drugs, plus vision, hearing, and dental benefits. For 40 years, Network Health has been a trusted expert in making health insurance affordable and understandable. Don't wait. Call 833-7-NETWORK today.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
One of our texters says, Jeff, I like it. A liberal is really a conservative who's not been robbed yet. Can I use that? Absolutely. I don't think that's necessarily original. I think the saying is a liberal is really a conservative who's not been mugged yet. I think that's the way it used to be, but I used the phrase robbed. There is a story in the local newspaper today which just demonstrates how insane academia is in general and the University of Wisconsin system is in particular. So here's the story. A professor who gave perfect grades to students who didn't deserve them then landed a job at another UW campus. So follow this. Casey Warning logged into his University of Wisconsin Parkside student account last summer and noticed something odd. His transcript showed he had completed his business law and ethics course and earned the highest grade. Hey, that's great. I've finished the course. I got the highest grade. Except he hadn't turned in any work for the class yet. Warning had alerted his professor to the error, according to emails. Then in the fall, he noticed the wrong grade still showed up on his transcript. So I want to give this guy credit. Instead of simply saying, hey, I didn't do the work, but I'm getting the highest grade, he said, something's wrong here. So apparently, once he flagged this, it set off an extensive investigation. And UW Parkside concluded that one of its tenured professors, Sahar Boumami, had engaged in fraudulent grading from 2016 through 2022, including after this guy had emailed about her grades. The department found that Boumami awarded the highest possible grade to most students she taught in an online program. Gosh, where were these people when I was in college? Even when they turned in partial work or no work at all. In addition, the department alleged while she served as director of the online program, she assigned herself to 11 courses in disciplines she wasn't qualified to teach, abusing her power for financial gain. Boumami, who declined an interview request, blamed medical issues for the grading errors. Not my fault. Okay, so you get it. They catch her. All right, so the department finds no pattern of grading errors in courses that she taught under the traditional grading system, but they feared that her grading errors in the online program would damage the business school's reputation, no kidding, jeopardize its accreditation, and threaten the integrity of the entire institution. Yeah, so you've got this professor who's falsifying grades, right and left. So what they did is Parkside files a complaint against her. She acknowledges that the allegations of the complaint are correct. She offers to resign at the end of the school year. They let her stay on the university's payroll for 6 more months and teach 2 more classes in the spring. So you have this professor who's falsifying all this stuff. They catch her red-handed. She acknowledges she's done it, and Parkside lets her stay on the state payroll. Okay, but that's not the most interesting part of the story, because apparently what happens is after she gets canned or agrees to resign or whatever, she applies to UW Milwaukee, and she teaches at UW Milwaukee this summer. They offer her a 1-year, $125,000 non-faculty teaching position for the school year. UWM says they know nothing about the UW Parkside investigation at the time of the offer and would not have extended it, had the university known. I'm sorry, head getting ready to explode. So UWM gets this application from somebody who is leaving Parkside. It's a $125,000 a year job. Nobody at UWM thinks to call somebody at Parkside and say, can you tell me anything about Dr. So-and-so? Because if they had made that one phone call, they would have said, well, here's what you should know. We found out this. There was a disciplinary procedure. She's resigned. Nobody makes that cursory check. They just say, oh, great. Great. Here's what's going on with this. So, nobody apparently, tells them that this is a problem. Now, the story says it's likely at least one person from UW Parkside vouched for her because the posting asked for one reference to be a direct supervisor within the past 5 years. But it's unclear who did because UWM declined to provide the reference letters. So, first of all, my question is, wasn't this checked out? And secondly, if you've got somebody from Parkside who was covering up for this woman, that person should be gone as well. It's mind-boggling, first of all, that you have this professor that's doing all this stuff, but then that you can just bounce to another $125,000 gig without, after you've been essentially fired, canned because of all this, and nobody is able to find this out. And this is all, it's not even like she's gone down to Texas or California. This is, okay, UW Parkside, UW Milwaukee, the same UW system. And you wonder why people have doubts about the way academia polices itself. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
According to the U.S. debt clock, our debt is over $32 trillion and climbing. The question is, how do we pay it off? One of the most likely answers is increasing taxes. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now when rates are historically low, or later when rates are potentially higher? At Drake & Associates, we can help you create a plan so your retirement is tax efficient as possible. If you'd like to continue your education, we have our Retirement Ready Toolkit, which includes guides on retirement tax savings. To receive this complimentary toolkit, call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call or text now.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
We did the math. When you buy bagged mulch from the big guys, you pay $50 a yard. Why pay more for inferior mulch? When you buy from Erickson's, you'll get premium mulch for almost half the cost. And you'll see that even our economy mulch is better, for less than half the cost of bag mulch. And either choice is made with premium colorant that lasts longer. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Do you want the economy mulch or the premium? The only real difference is that the premium mulch has thicker strands, while the economy mulch is finer. But the colorant we use for both is of the highest quality, and that's why the color of our mulch lasts longer. And our mulch comes from trees, not pallets, and we process it all in-house. That's why our prices are so low. Erickson's Landscape Supply, high-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Siding Unlimited, named the best window installers not just here but in the whole USA. Get the best. Siding Unlimited, 3-time winner as America's best window installer. For windows, you call Siding Unlimited first and directly. SidingUnlimited.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep. We have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I will send this out on Twitter. We talked about this yesterday. There is just an epidemic of hit and runs that are going on. What is the estimate that over the last 3 years, like 32% of the automobile crashes in the city of Milwaukee are hit and runs. Now, that's not always people that are involved in it. It could be, your car is hit and the vehicle ends up taking off. And the clearance rate is staggeringly low. Out of all these hit and runs, the 6,000 over the last 3 years, not including 2023, they've only been able to clear 25%, like 1 out of 4. And then it gets over to the court system, and you've got John Chisholm, the district attorney, who has a habit of just giving away these cases, which oftentimes are just dead bang winners, but they're either afraid to go to trial or whatever. So it is an epidemic. But every once in a while, there are these cases that capture the public attention. This is one. The 48-year-old woman named Heidi Schneider of Milwaukee was killed 1:45 a.m. Saturday in the 2100 block of West Canal Street. That's right by the Potawatomi Casino. Apparently what happened is there was a car, and the police have just released photographs of it. It's described as a 2018 to 2020 white SUV. They believe it's a Kia Sportage. And apparently, the way this is described is the vehicle hits and kills Ms. Schneider. Somebody, I think, gets out of the car, verifies, I guess, that they hit a person, then gets back in the car and drives off. And so the police are looking for this. Now, again, historically, hit and runs have been relatively easy to prosecute because you've got damage to the car, there's surveillance, there's witnesses and things of the like. But in Milwaukee, we've done a terrible, terrible job of catching hit and run drivers. And like I say, once they get caught, then they get into the court system. And if they get charged, you've got a DA's office, which just pretty much is willing to give these cases away. This is one that's caught public attention. The Milwaukee police have released surveillance photos of the vehicle. I'll send it out on Twitter. But this is one where we've just – look, I don't know that prosecuting the people who do this will stop hit and runs. I don't know that. But I do know that not prosecuting vigorously the people that do this, that doesn't work. And so hopefully they'll be able to catch this person, and hopefully the district attorney's office will be able to charge them with what they did, which is hit and run resulting in death, which is a 25-year felony, and they'll be able to stick this to them instead of giving the case away like they typically do. But anyhow, the surveillance photos of that vehicle are now out. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's find out what John and Greg have on their minds for Wisconsin's afternoon news.
We're building something in Milwaukee, and this year